Okay, so Yorogun, everybody, it's not the Studio 3. Do you have the link? Okay, let me go back to the web.
Went to the previous recorded one.
Okay, yeah, Studio 3, just a moment. How shall I do? I can invite you. How come?
I don't remember. Going back to the recorded ones.
That's good.
So is the idea enough for you to know, or you? I can share again. Let me see if I go to the setting. I have the link. I will put it in Kakao. But I will copy only the link, but this is huge. Because all the story. This is Santiago. Hapgood. Okay, I sent the link to the Kakao.
Okay.
And I close Kakao so it doesn't disturb us. We are in progress. I think battery is limited here, but I hope after let's zoom in. I have to go there. I don't know if it will be able to. Oh, yes, obvious here. Let me. You can. Okay, I will anchor, and you can just stop your videos just to check things.
I think it's working. So
Okay.
What do you want me to do?
No, it's just to check sometimes the sound, right? Because it is the problem we have. So I cannot. I could win the iPad, but also has problem of battery. So just from time to time, because probably it works well for some time and then it stops working. Everything is being recorded. Okay, now I'm in Bluetooth microphone. Still working and still translating. And now let's bring this to the recording place. Let me put some strategic points. Can we have some? That's not great, but might work. Yep. Make sure you're on the screen, but you can cover the. Okay, so everybody, let's start the presentation. Big paksu to Olugun here, and let's see how he convinces us of his fantastic work.
Okay, good afternoon. Let me start my presentation. And when I started the Adaptive Reuse project, I remind the Piazzolla music because he combined classic and jazz and the original tango music. And I think it's really similar to our Adaptive Reuse project because he keeps their own originality and combined it and makes some new music and more harmony, and he makes their own originality of his music. So that's what I started with the visual analysis. So what the interesting point of the building was the layer composition. When you see the facade, they have all layered in here, and I drew in the elevation as well, but I could see they have some layer composition. Also for the extension one, they added after build this part, but I think this was also like they keep the layered composition, and that's what I try to keep this on. My order is the layer composition, and makes my new project. And so when I see the original plan of the Park Il-young designed it, I could see they have some small rooms on the here and they compose on here. So I try to keep this idea and make my own design. And this is what I came from. So I placed this message on here onto the back side. And this part is a workshop for the artist or carpenter or someone, and they could show their works in this area, so people could see here. People could see their artwork by walking. And also, I provide small courtyard, which means like in Japanese for chiboniwa, it means like more greeting people, more welcome place. So you can see the trees on here. So this street also have like concrete street and asphalt street, but when I make this courtyard, then maybe people could enjoy this courtyard, and also they implicate this part on here. And I use the steel. I use the material as a steel because I try to make more contrast or more harmonized with this original building. So that's why I choose this like black one. And for this part, I try to use the like a white concrete because to make more various elements to my building. And this is what I prefer. Thank you.
Well, I'm not sure I will be able to accomplish it, but the idea is for you to criticize, not me, because I will do on Friday. I end speaking more than anybody else, but you should be the ones giving your opinions. And as usual, what is interesting and well achieved, or what Gong-hee told us, and what we think he could do to improve both the project and the presentation. Anybody? Everybody has to give at least one comment, right, to somebody. And where's one? Okay, yeah. Maya, yes, you were first. Okay, Maya, where's first?
A little bit missing the complete presentation because you just kind of stopped talking at some point and I was still writing notes. But also, what Professor always says on my project, I did this. I think like you could maybe say that a little less, but otherwise I thought it was interesting that you talked a lot about how you got inspiration from the original building and how you drew elements from the original building and built on them to build your own projects. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, good points. Hyun.
One thing is that plan on the middle. I don't quite know what's going on because I don't know if programs are in there. But I feel like one good thing about this project is that if I just saw that, I would know who did it. Like how it's very noticeable in the sense that there's like color to it. And one thing that should be added, I guess, would be the more of a site concentrated plan. So as Maya said, you don't really mention my project or this project, so you like kind of say the site made me do this or whatever.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yes.
It's kind of like a question because I like the design of the stack itself, the extensions, but I'm kind of curious of why there are windows like
In here.
Yeah.
Actually, it's more like a functional reason to give light onto the workshop, and I also try to give more private place to them, so people couldn't see how they work on here, but still the workshop needs lots of some light, so that's why I give this window.
So which windows do you know that do not give light?
Sorry?
That's a rhetoric question, but usually windows are to give light or views, right? So it's kind of very obvious. The question is, how do you give light and why this shape? Which I think that's the question, right? Not by windows. That's a bit obvious, right? And you studied, for example, proportions and rhythm and so on, but you didn't speak about it. Another thing that you are missing is the long windows still are not one piece, right? So it's something that is in the process, but still you didn't comment about it.
So the reason of to this the window are like to the further roof to make more like light roof, but it's actually it's a heavy roof because of steel, but they are.
Did you say the roof is steel? Right?
Yes, I mentioned
Okay.
that steel. So
But steel is usually light, right?
yeah, but
Stone is heavy, steel
Yeah.
is light.
but they are very thick. They have some thick roof, so could be.
This looks quite thin for me.
Really? Okay.
Okay, so this is the detail, and this is something it wouldn't ask you consider, but you have to make the detail of that to speak. This is the thing you have to try to do in the following 2 weeks, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I have a question about the courtyards.
For this one or
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them there, and it's quite interesting that you said that they're courtyards because usually courtyards are kind of enclosed within the building complex, but there I feel like they're more open to the street and to the public area, kind of similar to how some nooks and corners are in piazzas in Italy, for example, or in public places. And I wanted to ask you if that was the intention or if they just ended up being there because of the volume of the building.
Well, the volume of the reason it came the idea came from because of the volume, but the main intention was to give more like green space, to give more green spaces to the pedestrian or the car drivers because they are really full of just building, and it's kind of like a giving some yeah. 그 침을 영어로 뭐라 하지?
아구침, acupuncture.
Yeah, because when you see the Japanese garden, they have some chibuniwa. It's called chibuniwa, which means very small garden. But so when I give some here, then maybe people 환기하다, 기분 전하다.
기분 전환하다.
Refresh from the space. So that's why I gave portrait to more open to the public.
So it's something that serves the public area more than the building itself.
Yeah. But not just for the public because when I put this also this I didn't draw the window SPD, but also to give artists to see the more courtyard here as well. And when people and also when people see around here, they only see the outside is just a building, and then when I give some courtyard here, then people feel like architecture with the trees, and so that's why I try to give more courtyard here.
Okay, I think that's enough. So it is nice you did all plans and the sections. Still, plans are much more developed than the sections. Right? So you put ink. So when you make sections, it explains the space, right? So this is small details like the elevator door are not so important, but this is how we work around. But this doesn't explain, well, this is interesting. We don't have context. A lot of the spare rooms, we do not explain very much how the space is connected, right? So I think you may develop more. This interesting, but still has a lot of work to do. But as many people noticed, you need to work more seriously on the site, which has been the comment for the last 2 months, right? Okay, good. Please self-evaluate and everybody else evaluate him, and we get ready to see Uri Pangjan. Just take 1 minute to get ready. Well, you know, Mies van der Rohe was always like that, but after 70s. So, but that is some,
I think
but
I'm
that-
at the level of 70 right now. I'm literally my
but that gives you
back
some
hurts.
connection with Mies van der Rohe, which is nice. Okay, Pansang Nim, Kim Sung Min, please start.
Okay, well, to start explaining the first strategy, of this, like the first strategy of the extension was to use the walls as a kind of like a space divider, kind of like a structure, also as a facade, and also can be a roof as well. So keep that in mind, and I will explain how the building works. The program is a language cultural library, which has an exhibition, a seminar, and a lecture space at the first floor, which is why, because it is much more public, has a much more public usage, while the second and third floor is the library space. If you look at the first floor, the entrance will be here, which has a lobby. Which has kind of like a dividing space which goes up to the library, and one going to the library, one going to the exhibition space. And well, what I tried to do with this space was kind of like, since like to make it kind of the exhibition space kind of more like a continuity space, gradually leading. So like there's exhibition space, there's lobby, then there's another exhibition space that can be continuous, which and then gradually leads to the back. Yeah. And well, yeah, and about the second floor and the third floor, there is using the walls as a space divider. So like there are spaces like the toilets, the space and the library, which is all divided inside. And well, I have no idea what to say.
Not this nice section. Tell me more.
Well, this is a section that shows the part of the seminar space and book storage, and also the space, which is the part of over here. And the design of this is white. Well, so the walls acting as a wall. The walls acting as a facade also, and acting as a roof, kind of like something that encloses. And there are spaces of glass, little spaces of glass to let the light inside. For the book, since this is the quiet study space, there will be lights coming, but not much visual connection outside. About the facade detail, this is kind of like the toilet space, which looks like this. The toilet is not the usual boy-girl toilet, but accessible. All of them will be accessible toilets, which you can move around. And at the first floor, you can there is a connection to the outside and also to the inside. So you people can come to get much more easily. And since there's the toilets are accessible toilets, which gives more privacy, you can have much more fun, like to give a better space to the toilets from the toilet inner hallway space. So what I tried to do was to use kind of like perforated bricks to give the light inside to make it a better space, but also to kind of keep the visual connection. Like, yeah. Done. Other than that,
Okay,
I
that's
guess,
okay.
yeah,
You
it's-
have nothing more to say, so let's go to questions. Okay. Maya.
see that you also thought about how your building is connecting to the site. I think that's pavement design, maybe?
oh yeah.
Can you tell us more about that? Like, what is the logic of it, or like, why is it designed this way?
Well, there is this part will be the extension of the Marion Park's pavements design. Well, no, it's not the Voronoi, but it's the logic of the extension lines. So I divided the spaces, but according to the extension walls, which goes up.
I think if Maya was sitting where Bingham is, she might have seen the lines, the scale of your accent points, the one extending from your walls, and the other pavements are so similar. It's quite hard to distinguish.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you could like really have them different colors or different scales. Maybe having the other tiles with the stone pavement a bit larger.
Would work, yeah.
Yeah, I think that idea is interesting, but maybe it's a little small gesture compared to the patch, let's say, of the rest of the.
Oh, yeah.
Thing, so maybe you could exaggerate it a little more so it's more obvious.
Versus just from this drawing is quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
And why did you ended the pavement just along the road line?
Over here or over here.
Yeah, the lines.
This line.
Why
Well,
is that line so important to you? Like you're making really strong gestures with walls extruding in and out of the existing building, and your pavement line continues your action into the site, but it suddenly breaks off when it hits the asphalt.
well, it was a kind of a gesture to actually
So it is
keep the
intelligent.
asphalt, yeah,
that.
keep the asphalt as it is,
Why?
because
Because asphalt is sacred. He's a car lover.
not sacred,
so-
but it's actually used for cars. Well, the
Right.
pavement is used for people.
Yes.
Kind of like a pedestrian
Right.
space. So to divide more
So
significant.
so-
yeah.
this is why the line is so thick. So the
This I
asphalt
drew
to
on, but-
pavement is thicker than the walls. That means
That's
that
kind of like drawing and then it's too
cars
thick. Yeah.
cars are sacred. We cannot touch the realm. So you're in the old style, old school infrastructure first. It's an option. Okay. Yes, Hyunjan.
I like your idea of all accessible toilets. But at one point, I was curious about the toilets. The facade with the perforated bricks, I think, is a very nice space. But why did you decide to put a nice toilet instead of a nice space? Your extension. So much.
Wait, so why did I put a nice toilet there? Then it,
Instead of something else.
Hmm.
could have been a nicer program.
well, it could have been used as an AC program, but the toilet, well, the intention was to put a toilet close to the circulation, which was the first idea. And then,
Maybe
yeah.
Go a bit smaller as it goes out. More people would use it at the ground floor level. but
oh
if you
yeah,
go
it could
a
become
bit
more small.
smaller,
Yeah.
Maybe use it so this more celebrated space. you're adding a lot of details, a lot of actions in a single project. Like you're having this big wall, you're having different colors band. Is that steel? What is the material?
What?
The
Oh,
slabs?
this is not steel. This is the same material as this, but it was kind of like,
Okay.
But same material as this, what is this material then?
What is it? Then what is the red one?
the red one will be brick. So
Bricks.
Brick.
these will all be the same materials. These
That
would
is
be the same
red
materials.
brick.
And you have glass, you have walls, you have steel, I guess, and stone. Maybe simplifying it a little bit would help, I guess.
Okay, what is this other wall? I didn't hear. This is the main motif, right? The walls wrapping. and
Yeah,
changing.
walls.
What is this made of?
That will be, well, inner steel structure with a stone, white stone or like kind of white colored
So
type.
it's a fake wall.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very mechanical. You spoke about circulation, but as you present the drawing, it's very hard to see anything.
No.
Surely you didn't have time to draw, I guess. So it's a pity you didn't prepare a bit better because obviously you didn't finish, but you had a very good start.
Oh,
But then suddenly you started speaking about small details, small things, and
Yeah.
everybody was helping you say this, say that. Really, I hope by final you prepare a bit better
yeah. I'll write this
because
script.
obviously you have difficulty to, maybe you're nervous because when you speak casually, you speak very fluently.
No, yeah.
So you have to prepare it because your speech is very clear, very easy to hear. So it's not about what is about getting blocked with things to say.
Okay.
And you always, what we all do is to put the drawings in a way that they are like our outline of the comment. So by watching the drawing, you know what to say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. Yes, Steve.
Yeah.
The first time I saw your extensions, at some point you changed the direction and you started, playing with the lines.
Oh, yeah.
And in floor plan, I can still see that excitement and that experimentation and everything, but looking at your perspectives, you kind of lost that going vertically. I feel like there's not as much dynamism, not as much movement, not as much interaction, and not as much energy when it comes to that. And I really would love to see if you could find a way to maybe vary the heights of it, maybe vary the angles of the walls. Not every wall has to go straight up. They can shift and change and move, and the roofs as well and everything. I think it would look incredibly nice, and it looks really, really nice already, to me at least. But I think it has a lot more potential if you want to get playful with it and show a bit more of your energy and creativity and everything,
Okay.
Yeah, but he's being creative and playful with his materials, like he's showcasing 5 materials.
That's true. That's true.
But I agree with Steve, like maybe you should
Kind of.
focus more on the space and being playful with that,
Not with the materials. Okay.
Well, I would be cautious with that. So it is a good point you work with materials, but once you suddenly got lost into the details of the materials and they are not telling the story of
Yeah.
the space, right? So it's playing with the space and the walls and the extensions and the existing, because existing is like just an accident, right? The existing building just happens to be there. Right. There's not much about it, you said. So this is the kind of interaction. And those materials, those details should support the basic idea.
Okay.
And that happened with the presentation. Started very well. You said very clearly the basic idea and the basic program, and then just get lost in details and then nothing else came, right? Other thing you should comment is not only the expansion strategy was very clear and the program, but why those?
Why?
Because you gave the solution, but didn't give any reason for that.
Oh, okay.
And then you got lost in details. So just organize better because still that will help you also to organize your time and the energy, how you two things, right?
Okay.
Because at this point, having a preferred brick or not preferred brick is like a very small anecdote, and it
Okay.
seems your life is so that this very trendy now. For the last 5-6 years, all cool small buildings in Korea have preferred brick in many
Yeah.
ways, which is nice, but it's a pain for detailing, construction, and maintenance, right?
Mhm.
But still, it's trendy and it's interesting, and it has to do a lot with Mid-Eastern architecture, with a lot of this kind of half transparent
Islamic,
walls
yeah.
which let the air and not the sunshine. This is Islamic architecture or even Persian architecture since long time, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of continuation here, right? But yet, there's like something happens in one point, and then the rest is other things. Try to unify a bit more and find some kind of logic linking everything.
Okay.
Good. As I promised, I didn't talk. Next is Sunje. Let's see how we are in battery. Because Sunje is there, right? Let's move. Let me see. 41% is dangerous, but we are close to the charging. Iana, probably we need to record through you. So I don't know if we can have some opening around there. I think this is Sunje's project. Okay, so that's okay. We can get closer, so we have less people in between. Okay, Sunje,
Okay.
you're on stage.
Start?
Start. Yes, already started.
So good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. The program first started from the Baekdong Sudowan to make Daeangno more attractive. Daeangno have to attract the more foreigners to make some various cultural spaces. So firstly, the design idea was to make this street and this street as more human friendly street. So this street was made to car-free zone, and I extended the sidewalk larger so that the people can enjoy walking this street and this street. And when I changed this street as the car-free zone, pedestrian expected to be increased. So I made this extended spaces to attract some people from here and here, and expanded spaces intrude existing buildings to naturally attract people into the space existing building. So to predict people's movements, firstly, when people come into the Maruni Park and go into the main entrance, the people will become there are very big windows, and there are some ponds, so people are attracted to the ponds so that people can go out and enjoy the backyard and go into the exhibition spaces naturally. And then there are very gentle stairs so that people can naturally go upstairs to enjoy the courtyard and some meditation spaces. And there are some cafes and hanbok making spaces and some woodcrafting spaces to experience some Korean traditional something and okay, that's it. Thank you for listening.
One thing I noticed that nobody's putting the model on the site, which might help because I saw Nikon here. Sorry, I didn't saw Sumi. You lost the opportunity. Yeah, don't remove it. So this is like this. Put it on the proper place, like that. Exact. So this is just to demonstrate you have it unfinished. But I couldn't take the photo. I think so.
Why stop it?
Okay, so Sunjay, you have also a model?
No.
No model, so it's the drawings. Good. Okay, comments on Sunjay?
I have a question.
Okay.
I see that the extension is here in the right side of your drawings, but looking at it, I'm not sure how the spaces of the extension are used. I can very clearly see how you're using the original building, but it kind of seems like a little vague how you're using the extension space.
Oh, this extension spaces will be used as some exhibition space, which some 작품
Articles.
made from these experience spaces.
I think the interesting point was your thinking about your urban context, because what I interesting was your big window that people could through
The one who
yeah, because they are very it's purple, right? They very low height and they're kind of very dark space, but you're all open to very bright and wide courtyard, and that's really what I interested. What I really like it. But when I see your like placement for the rooms is more tight, but your extension was very strong and your gesture is very strong, but your placement of the rooms are very not too strong. So I think could it be more could be more interesting in design.
I try to not destroy this walls and this came out.
I mean that is really very interesting, very good, but not the restaurant. Like,
Restaurant.
the old building.
Okay.
Where do you suggest your main entrance on the ground level? From what I remember, it's this one, the main entrance. It's here. I think it would benefit greatly if you have a small lobby here, some kind of intermediate area. So if I'm the artist, if I have my artworks right here and have more straight but having lobby and giving it a sequence would be nice, I guess. And
Yeah, actually, I was thinking, sorry to interrupt, but like a similar thing, because it kind of looks like the exhibition space is just an extension of the circulation space. And I would kind of maybe feel uncomfortable if people are like constantly going up and down while I'm trying to look at some artworks.
Your mission was so strong.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. I think Steve was first.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, go on.
Why are you so gentle with the site?
I mean, what do you mean?
I get, so let me ask the full question. first. I get what you did with your gesture around the building, expanding the park, you know, letting people breathe around there and giving them a lot of open space. But at the same time, I feel like you barely touched the site and barely tried to expand the building into the public, which means that you would still keep it open for everyone. But it kind of lacks interaction. I mean, I for one just punched a hole through the building and expanded through there. So maybe I'm not the best person to make advice. But it feels very gentle, which is a quality in itself, and I find it very sensitive and careful. But maybe just a bit more interaction. Why did you avoid it?
Because
It is last try. Sorry.
I just try to 최대한 이 역사적인 건물을 보존하기 위해서
Yeah, he wanted to keep the integrity of the original buildings. If he might touch too much, but I'm not so sure. But I think he and I share some kind of similar opinion of the existing building. Like this is historical, and he likes it. Obviously, that's why he's keeping all these corners and having these extensions in the backside. But I still get why Steve asked this. Like your entrance is back here, but site analysis clearly shows most of the people come around here, and your main entrance is back here. So you need a strong gesture in the site to have people come over here and to tell them my new extension, my new project is right here, but it's hidden.
So, yes, Yana.
I thought, okay, my point was as well that you're careful with the building too much, I think, but about your extension part, because I think, I don't know, it's my opinion. In your part, I don't know, it looks really awkward, can I say? I don't know. I would like you keep it, like put it on, because it looks awkward. I don't know. I understand that that's a building, but then you demolished part here, but didn't demolish here. So I think, I know, because like you try to follow this part, and you kind of like gently come to this part, but then it breaks everything. Because here you can clearly see how it enters the building, and then it looks more clean and careful than this one, because this one becomes really, I don't know. That's in my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Right, well, that's interesting. The point is you had to see his presentation on Friday to understand what he's running away, right? Because many things missing we're trying to make on Friday, but it was like too much, and then he backed up too much. And so when you have something which is interesting, but it's not right, you have to work it to make it right, not just to take it out, remove it. One advice was simplifying the building, and you simplified, but still you went too far, because you're losing this kind of a progression to the entrance. We don't see how people move around the building. You didn't work on the landscape. And then that's, of course, you have like a very complex ground floor, and then things simplifies, you go up. That is consistent with the existing building, right? So that's something you could explain. But then the interaction, I'm not sure you need to demolish more or less. You could demolish different things. So I would question also why you demolish so much in the back, right? That wing is kind of disturbing, but this is the point is the interaction of those two elements, right? So it can be still better done. It's something improvised in one weekend, so it's not so much. And then the sections show very little. That's true, right? So it is true that you make full sections for the first time in many days, but yet the sections do not tell the story of what you are trying to do, right? And that's going around the building, that interacting with the site. There's something missing. So you have some time to do it because you realize you need to do very little to be strong. It's not doing too many things. Before you have too many things, end up as hindering. Now you have less elements. Try to work a bit better with them and don't ignore the landscape. This is something so obvious, right? Because you explain many things on the white paper. People coming from here and they rotate. What? So you have to be careful with it. Okay, good, great. So our next is Stefan.
Cristiano Ronaldo in
Yeah, that's the full name is difficult because you have to take it out of.
How would it be faster in German?
Do we have the microphone?
Yes,
Okay.
I think, yes.
So yeah, you can start.
Today I'm representing minimalism through my plans, although this was very much not intended, but anyways.
This is minimalism. Well, the extension looks very complex. Okay, go on.
The development direction I took so far was more of a structural and figuring out the spaces in the building, how everything connects together, lines of sight, and everything that is more structural, technical, material related, and so on. Now, as my program includes a lot of workshop area and a lot of, let's say, more private use or restricted use, so that the public shouldn't really be able to access it easily. That more or less resulted in the building being split into two parts, especially in the ground floor. In the ground floor, there is a large exhibition area towards the northwest, and then all of the workshop related rooms, courtyard, and workshops are towards the south and east. This separation is quite clear in this area where there's a quite strong dark line which shows the ways the building has been split. The first floor is a bit more relaxed. It's more of a public floor, which also includes a workshop, but the first floor overall is mainly an atrium / orientation space where people can enter the building through the main entrance, which I prefer to keep, and then choose the direction they wish to go to from there. The second floor is entirely a public floor, which has seminar rooms, library and study space, and also has access to the outdoor terraces and some outdoor areas for viewing the scenery around. Now, these sections show a bit more about the spatial layout of the building. And you can see it in the plans as well that I have a very foreign looking part of the building poking right through it at some point. This is the main extension that can be seen in the section here, and also in the facades here and here. The structural problem with this was mainly the fact that the existing building has to be braced somehow, and also creating a floating part of the building was quite a big problem. But I found that it creates some sort of closure in the courtyard area. It closes it nicely, and it gives a bit of height variation, and it makes for a bit more of an interesting space, let's say. The largest surface of the extension is occupied by the exhibition rooms. These are some large volumes that I've tried to be a bit more playful with, and try to vary a bit the angles and the lines so that they also tend to create this kind of courtyard effect in some way and enclosing the space in front of the building. Why this obsession with the courtyards? It's mainly, let's say, the wish to create some sort of enclosed public space, to create places that are nice to be in, and to promote a bit the circulation around the site, because at the moment, it's been said many times that the building itself creates a hard barrier, but I find the building is a barrier for itself in the way that it integrates in the environment. As for materials and structure, like I said, I've had them kind of sorted out until today. It would take a really long time to explain what's happening, but it's mainly a timber-based structure. For the extensions, it's more of a timber frame with columns and beams. And then for the workshop part, it's going to be massive wooden panels, probably CLT or other sorts of laminated panels. And a very nice thing about them, and this is what I want to start experimenting with next, is the weathering effect the wood has over in time. So because of rain, UV radiation, and so on and so forth, wood changes its properties a lot. And I'm not quite familiar with the wood types that are here, but I feel like the combination of wooden elements and the existing building would create pretty pleasant effect. And the last thing would be that I tried to create some sort of transition from transparent to opaque. With the exhibition spaces, most of them, I intend to do them out of some sort of translucent material or something that lets a lot of light in, which is not necessarily glass or transparent. This would mean polycarbonate, glass bricks even, or different things. And I try to create a transition from transparent, from very light, from very bright, to a more opaque and closed off section from public to private. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, you are a couple of minutes over, but it is nice to have an explanation. Okay, one question. This is all completed drawing, right?
Yes.
You did a 3D model of it?
Yes.
I see. So you're done, basically.
I'm not done.
Final. So yeah, that's interesting. I was expecting this. I thought you were going to work by hand. So you will make hand drawings over this in the end? That's okay. Because the graphics for being a 3D model is not, they're not bad, actually. They are quite controlled, very clean. But then once you have the 3D model, it's so hard to change things that I guess things are quite fixed there. Okay, that was the question. Please, comments. Can you put the model on the site?
Yeah.
Or is this your secret? So that's the only handmade part we have now. Which program are you using for the 3D modeling? ArchiCAD. What's European software?
Yeah, very European.
This is why the graphic quality is good.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that at least it's clean, right? And yeah.
I think I forgot a part of the model, but it's in the drawing.
You forgot one part?
Yes.
Well, maybe you may consider removing it if it looks better. Well, this is a little bit unbalanced without it.
Yeah.
But and this looks mad, like breathing.
That's why I didn't include in
The
previous
pavilion.
versions, there was a pavilion in the corner, but this time I decided to put it on hold because it looks a bit.
Yeah, actually, I don't think you need it. Still, you can put it somewhere. One thing, and I shouldn't speak, but I think you had some kind of a work of stages around there on the
That's
site.
on hold as well.
Well, I think it's the moment to get them back. Otherwise, it will be too late, right? Okay. Now, comments, please.
Well,
I'm really happy to you sold the Atrio one in the middle of the plan. I know you know real stuff about it. Really like, and also the whole design of your building are really cool. And the interesting point was the main facade of the building because I think most of our classmates didn't much, but you try to add in the front and try to be more match to the existing building, and yeah, it seems nice, but sometimes it looks so complicated, like because they have more layer, they more layer to your new building, and yeah, so except for that, I think the property organized. And I wonder why you choose to give more new facade on people. I mean,
Oh, you mean
yeah,
why I put the extension to the front? Maybe it's for the same reason I asked about being gentle with the plan earlier, with the slide earlier, because I felt like the building is getting quite lonely on one of the edges of the site, and my first instinct is to make something quite aggressive, quite incisive, and try to bring it back into the attention of the public and make it invade the square rather than trying to make a bait for people, like to try to attract them to that part. I would rather bring the building and the pavilions towards.
Yeah, so it's kind of not especially aggressive, but probably one of the ones which is most aggressive among all actions in class. That's out of experimenting. So in the urban action on the front, right? Extension on the back, some element crossing. So in terms of experimenting, it's quite a lot of things to do. So that's, I think, as training is works quite well, right? Other thing is that you try many things, it's hard to have everything right. And that's something which you also realize, right? Because again, I see the model is not what you have there. Probably there's continuation because this goes through and it's irregular, then becomes rectangular, it's cut, and that extension is a bit weird right now as we see it. But I don't know. Yes, because this is kind of extending and disappearing. That is just severed, and I wonder if you keep this kind of continuity or if it becomes something more reduced. Well, you're considering also, or you're changing, or that's part of this, but this will come later, or it is all hold.
Yeah. Actually, I ran out of time.
Okay. Yeah, this is the problem. Try many things, but still, you have to see when you take things out of the project, or you have to decide how much you can remove without losing it. You have to remove more. Fortunately, even if you work in the 3D model, I think that element is not very difficult. It's just one roof with some columns, right?
Yeah.
But I think it will change a lot, right? Okay, more comments to Steve?
I'm not sure about the facade drawing, but then I don't know about the plan. I feel like walks really close to the square, like from the left part.
So I think the square we should see more in the model, right? And the question is, in the model, we don't see the transparency, which was kind of the point. It's get very opaque. So I encourage most people not to work very much on the side because it's the best perspective. But in this case, it was a strong gesture, which also could be. So this, again, this is experimenting, but you can always.
Your backyard, like patio, kind of, is one feature. And then you kind of create another patio. So I don't know.
Right.
No, it could
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
I think, yeah.
Also might be some sort of unconscious result of the fact that I had to split off the workshop area, which is kind of dangerous, from the public area. So I had to design directions, kind of, okay, how do I make the workshop practical and how do I make the public area more open, I guess. But I do get the point.
But then it can be.
Yeah, so that's right.
Saying, like, why can they not worship and public thing at the same time when you like change the movable, not movable, but I mean in sometime it's workshop and then when they made it, they don't need to move it, they just leave it in the workshop area, you know. I don't know.
Okay, so
But I
yeah,
mean,
so that's interesting point. So here, as I commented, it's many things trying, and it's hard to control everything. So you may want to simplify because removing things is easier than just adding one unit. But probably it's not removing so much, but having the context to explain all that. Because I think the model is much more convincing than the drawings, which is, and we see a lot of complexity. You start telling it is minimalistic, but it's not minimalistic at all. It's really interesting sections. Actually, it is nice to see at this stage sections which show like a very interesting data setting of voids, openings, outside, inside. So this is a play of rhythm and scales and things happening there, right? But how that complexity expands into the square and how it softens and goes to those outside stages, is something we need to see, right? Because that might at least give a reason for that. And then we might agree or not, but we see it is consistent, which is the point of the exercise. Right?
Left. I don't know. Left.
Yeah.
Like which
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a small details which are a little annoying.
Or it should be really small. Or it should be really.
So this seems to be following that kind of gesture of the square. And so we have a kind of thing which is isolated here, complicates. And then this is one miss of the graphics, right? This looks like a very heavy and very, so, but still we might have it. Right.
Or you like think one and you know, like because right now it's like
Right.
Doesn't have the
It's kind of
I got the expert.
words are not enough. Yes, so I think you have enough complexity to the building already. You have to convince how the program works without too much detail, so we have to hear you. But now I think the question is how this connects to the site, right? And how you use this kind of material strategy you had and so on is interesting, but you have to see it. I think still 3 weeks is time enough to develop it, but you have to concentrate. Good. Thank you so much for the comments. Anything else? Soon?
No.
Well, this is
Good.
Good. So he might pass. One of the few who might pass. Okay. Yeah, nice job. Well, it is nice to see something developing, right? And we have our next is Hyunjong. And let me see, 74 batteries, so this might last for a couple of presentations. And Diana is nearby. Let's which is your favorite side? I can take you from any side. So do you like your left side or your right side? Except you like both? Okay, so let's have what is this? I think it's already out of batteries. Take this one.
Okay, good afternoon. My biggest concern this semester about my project was keeping a balance between making a new gesture with my intention in it, but also respecting the existing building and the existing context. So this concern started with when I tried to choose the program, which is the Playwrights Library.
I felt the need to extend the site context of Teatro, of theaters and plays onto the artist house to create a more connection that is not visual. But then I didn't feel like making another theater because that was something that was not new and it may be boring. So that's why I came up with the playwrights library. But a playwrights library is still just a library. So I thought that I needed something more to make this building more lively and attractive. And that was my intention of how the building was shaped. So I created a main reading space here that is very contrary to the existing building. And this main space is, as you can see in the sections, there are glass on the ground floor, but then as you go higher, there are walls that actually block the sunlight and control the sunlight, which makes for a very nice reading space that only selective sunlight comes in. And also in this main space, you can see the existing building like here, which can make people who visit here appreciate the existing building, but also the extension, the main space. So, and this, so here is the main space, and inside the existing buildings, there are supporting programs that make the building a playwrights library and not a library. So for example, there's an auditorium that can hold book concerts, and here are writing workshop rooms where people can learn how to write scripts and plays. And here is a little stage where actors or people who want to be actors can practice with the scripts that are stored in the library down below. So it has a supporting feature and the main feature, and it is interacting. So if we keep the entrance to the existing entrance, this becomes a layer that actually blocks the main space. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to turn the axis and make a new entrance here, so that these two elements, the playwrights and the library, it can interact with each other rather than becoming a layer that has a certain hierarchy. So that was one reason I tried to make a new entrance here. And another reason can be seen in the site context. So when you try to visit this artist house currently, you have to go through all the obstacles. There are playgrounds and stage that is not really used. And it is very hard to approach the current entrance. But if I make a new entrance here, then people who are passing by on the big road, there are many bus stations and also a subway station here. So people who are passing by can observe the library and they can feel that it is here, which is a reason I intentionally made this facade rather massive and very approaching the site to this direction. So, and because I made a new entrance, I also gave a lot of effort to what people experience when they enter into the new entrance. So as you can see in this first floor plan, the visitors who come to this entrance first approach a glass new added addition, and then they reach the existing building where they can see the existing inner facade, and then they go on to the main space. So it has a layer in this case which makes people feel that they're going into a certain space that when they saw from outside it is very massive, but when they go inside it is very gentle and it has interaction of many different spaces. And I thought that people will be interested in this space. So and this thinking also I consider the reminiscence of the existing building. So as I explained, there's a facade that can be seen from the main space, but also when you enter this building, there's new addition, but also the old building, and then you finally go into the building. So that was my intention of keeping the balance between the existing and my new intention. Yes, thank you for listening.
Okay, good. Comments, questions, suggestions?
I was just thinking talked about how there's a lot of people because of the bus stations and the subway, but you still keep the pavilions of the original stage that's there, they kind of block the view of the building. So like, is that intentional that you're making them kind of walk all the way to see your extension first before seeing the original building? Or
Oh,
like,
it's not intentional. I just wasn't very aggressive to work on this part. I didn't have time and just forgot to do it. But I think it has potential if I demolish the stage here. I agree.
it could also be interesting for the visitors to see your extension first before seeing the original building, but it, I guess, should be a consideration.
Yes, so the small gesture that I made, here is a door also here, so that people are not only just overwhelmed by this stage, but they can also see the entrance, the door that is also located here under the canopy.
Cross the green to get through.
Mm.
So it's, I see your gestures and I see what you would do. I agree with Maya, just by removing the tedious billion and stuff and not placing anything on there, just leaving the flat would be better than having
Yes,
that
I
strange
agree.
thing can't be.
And also the pavement was a last minute decision, so maybe I should change.
You don't need to say that. Anything you say can be used against you.
I could really understand what. Well, first of all, your presentation was very clear, and it was very understandable. I think you didn't miss much of the things you haven't done, the efforts, and 3 sections surely helps. But from what I see, why did you turn the section lines? Did you want to show, like, I guess over there, I guess you wanted to combine the section with the elevation.
Yes.
Because you have put lots of effort in the facade and glass details. The long section is what you must have, and Professor would kill you if you didn't do it. But why you cut over the section A to A dash? That one.
This
Yeah,
section,
Oh,
yeah, well, I think that's the old extension, right?
Oh,
So
this was
this-
for my
this
own
is-
sake to
It is
understand the
showing
space.
there, so this is for your understanding.
Yeah.
Still, this is a distinct section actually, but that tells you the spaces are very much unconnected. You can find also a better section to show it.
Yeah, so
So I think, yeah, mostly it's showing the entrance, right?
yeah, well, I thought if you found the better section line, you could have this void connected to this void and see the flow.
Yes.
I was kind of expecting that when you said you have a sequence from the door to, if you cut the section through here, you would have different
Sequence
levels.
should be this one, but you never cut through the elevator when
Yeah.
you want to show spaces. Elevators are sometimes requirement for technical product, elevator and stair.
So here is the section for entrance.
Right, but the elevator is cutting there, but here you have this, which is also very weird. So I think this was interesting, but I would never show the elevator, it just cuts the space. And this is interesting, but again, I don't get,
Maybe I was confused because it's.
I would have expected to see it up to there at least.
So I should improve with vertical.
Yeah, it's just the cutting, the plans are much better now, and this needs more work, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is so obvious, you run out of time. It's better, you just draw less and just a little bit. It's nice, I hear not from myself, but when this improves the space. Anyhow, yeah, more comments?
I would have a question. Those 5 rooms just above the entrance, they are the screenwriting workshop rooms, if I remember.
Yes,
correctly.
writing workshops.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, why did you compartmentalize them so much? They're like little drawers that you go into, and I was thinking maybe making it a bit more of an open space. I get it that it's right next to the entrance, so that might be a problem, but I feel like maybe at least visually separating the entrance, or not even that, maybe just keeping it open and try to make it a more interactive space so that they can actually interact with each other and it doesn't feel like, okay, I'm in room 104, so I have to go down the hallway and the second to the left, that type of feeling, you know. I wanted to, yeah, just to point that out. I don't really have a question. Just felt like saying that.
I didn't hear all the, but I was wondering why this is different from the top of this.
So this is just all glass, so it lets all the sunlight in. This is a wall, and here is a glass.
But
So,
how does it work in 3D? So you have that section.
so I have
showing
it
the-
here.
Okay, that's what it is. And this is something you can start in model.
Mhm.
Yes.
Your kind of really cool. But my question is, you use a regular line
Mhm.
figure, but still your, and I see your whole plan, the major rule is like kind of orthogonal.
Mhm.
So I think so that is what is your and I wonder why you use different, like very different language.
Mhm. So initially, I tried to repeat this language in various parts of the building, but then my thought changed to rather just emphasizing only this main space with the diagonal line. And here, in the elevation, this is a reminiscent of that. This is what is left of that attempt.
Then instead, in the space control are special to your building.
Yes. Oh, main space.
Only the model will show it. Still, the image is not right. The elevations are getting better. It used to be a disaster. But still, those specific windows, those top things are not yet there. This is very, very weird. That changes a lot. But just on the instruction, that will be probably glass, right? Or similar material. We have some kind of partition. This is quite huge glass. Still, this is the maximum recommended already. Right?
Yes.
The maximum you can buy here in Korea. But yet, those windows, proportions and rhythms are very much complicated. So probably when you don't see the partitions, things look better. Even if we don't see this as a window, but then we have one of the much fragmented spaces. But okay, nice. We have things to work on. And something common of all presentations till now, it's already 5 people presenting, is the context is very little treated or not well explained, and you need to approach it to make your film more convincing. Because we have very difficult space here, very difficult narrowing. You may want to interact a bit more with that space, right? Just put in some dots and some. Do not make this well. And this is a weak point here. You have to approach it to address it. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
So next for the first space is Yana, but let's have a minute for changing the setting and self-evaluating and peer evaluating and writing comments and so on. What can we put to this so we don't discover much? Hyunjun, you didn't have model? No model.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed.
Yana, you brought model? She has it?
Yeah.
Good. 3D printing. So probably we will disturb Maya, I think you may want to move a little bit. You want to be the main star of the show. This is
Yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, yeah. Nice.
No, it's neither good.
That's only part. Another part disappeared.
This was your suggestion of demolishing more.
Yeah, I
So then
demolished it.
Take out. Definitely half building is more valuable, right? Yana,
Less is more, right? Less is more. Okay. I will start my presentation from the big scale. From the big scale. So the building is situated in the beginning of the hill, and the proposal of the building, the proposal is to make masses move from that hill downstairs and make that building not just be a cube, not a cube, a mass in the plateau, but with movement from the hill towards the downstairs, and then it's by masses. And that's why I have masses started from this 3rd floor and go down, down, down until underground. That's why I make this underground spaces. And then I also work with the greenery, and greenery goes an opposite side. So because I want to make the feeling for people going from the hill downstairs to feel more green, I make smaller height greenery in this part and more big trees from the roadside. So because of to prevent the noise and to kind of make a closure for the building, for the site. That's the big scale. Then my program is the meditation center. That's why I work with the masses like that. And also that's why I work with the nature a lot. And also the purpose of the building is to make the person feel nature and meditate, thinking about themselves more inside of the space. That's why I have 3 different types of the space. So one of them is opened with the nature and with water and downstairs and then an earth. Another one in the middle with opened with opened floors. With skip floors. Okay. And the third type of the space is the closed space in this boxes. So you feel yourself first calmed down by the nature, and then you go through the building by the usual spaces with windows, and then you go to the closed kind of big space. So you feel yourself in the bubble, but it's not a bubble, it's cube. Yeah, I think that's okay. That's about the spaces. And about the entrances, so I rotated the stairs based on the access of the main building and not the wings. And then I made the main entrance I made the main entrance as it was, but then I made another 2 entrances from the back, and they go through the wings. So you kind of back entrances go through the wings, and the main entrance go through the main axis. That's all, I think. Yes. The sections are bad. Don't look at that. Look at the plans.
No, I was lucky to get a section.
Because I didn't change. Oh, I didn't choose materials yet.
You cannot tell us what you should look or not. You're free to choose what to look at.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now, comments, questions? Because look, everybody's looking, and nobody's not what to say. It's like Justin.
I have a comment. You're very privileged that your drawings are so good because your presentation is so unorganized.
That's why I make diagrams this time. See, with arrows and color
No,
language.
I
Yo.
only understand what you're talking about because I can see your drawings. but
Ah,
Otherwise, sorry.
I didn't sleep.
It's a
okay.
compliment of your drawings too.
Yeah, compliment. Shut up. Actually, the sign. Shut up. Good.
I must say.
Keep going.
Let's hit a midterm, so that's on the next one. When you showed less material and more consistent. right?
Yeah.
That helps. And you only have the model, so we don't have to deal with that. But we need to see. Okay, that's a good friend.
Okay. Good. Keep going.
More comments?
The consistency having dealing with large scale sites. I remember you demonstrated your 3D printer is
Mm.
printing out that 1 to 500 scale small.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. Does it, your diagram and drawing shows, it's very clear, and I get what you're saying, but does it really work if you have them in the 1 to 500 scaling? We have this very awkward looking glass building right next to, right on the side, east side. Right on the east border, right next to it. Like there's like three.
This one, this the
Yeah,
here. But then it actually creates like the line. So when you like cut it,
Yeah.
it starts to go up, up, up because of the
Right, but
also
I
because
think,
of the
yeah, that's-
relief and because of
We
height
said
of the.
to Maya, who's a good friend, you have to show it.
Okay.
So we should see that those ones that few notes are low because okay, you have to. We should call my side to because it's kind of Arabic font, not English. So it's really hard to read even for me. But one of the comments I put is we should. That's very interesting starting point but from the context. Next time it was one of the unique things, the 500 model. All these under here, but it doesn't go beyond that sketch, right?
Mm.
So how can you still have it in the 500 model, and we can still feel that in the 200 elevation, like this kind of sequence,
Mm.
and then I will stop. Because there's more that I want you to tell, but I think that that's what Chiso is telling is that we need to see it, right?
Okay.
And if you show it, we are more confident.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I see it makes sense, but I wish I saw that here. I was expecting you to tell us that, like in the larger scale, in the city scale, the rumbling into this cubic elements follows the volume you're creating, and having the more intermediate scale, this is already working. I know that building right next to it, and if you just draw it, you could create the line and just say your volume matches the height.
You can draw it and not say anything, we will see.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one with pencil, your diagrammatic sketch drawings. Why didn't you say that? Like you could have just talked another like 30 seconds about your building analysis about the cubic elements. And
Oh right, I didn't say about
yeah,
cubic
I was
elements.
expecting it, but you never mentioned
Oh
it.
wow. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, because all the sizes, they actually like.
Yeah, it's
Ah,
you can see
yeah,
it.
right.
It replicates the
Good idea.
You never noticed it.
There's some reason you speak about bubbles, but they are cubic, so they are symbolic bubbles. But bubbles are something very light, almost no material, right?
Mm.
So we imagine those to be almost like almost air, but we don't know because we don't have the drawing of it. Right?
Okay.
Here they look very solid and very heavy, so we don't see this as a bubble. If you use that word, maybe the word is not correct, but use that word. Okay, this is water, this is void, but still quite strong and heavy element. We don't go to these bubbles. Because bubbles float on air and disappear. Right? This is like the impact of meteorites. Right? To get it more violent. But still, maybe it's the words you choose. Maybe it's how you draw it.
Okay.
Because the talk is interesting, but we don't see what you say. But okay, more comments? About
Steve
half
wants
the
to
class
say.
did not open them out, and still half the class has to be sent later.
Steve wants to say.
So
I were to say something though, let's suppose I would say something about it. I feel like you concentrated a lot when it comes to following the shape of the side, when it comes to slicing parallel to the main facade of the building, and how it connects with the hills and everything in that one particular element. What I do not really feel or get or quite completely understand from what you presented is how it relates in the exact opposite direction. So let's say we turn 90 degrees. How does the shape of the building and how does the evolution of everything that's going on there relate to whatever? is
From this
going on?
side?
No, the other side, so towards the square. And all of the connections in that area, because I got the main idea about the flowing
yeah.
line from the hill that way.
You're the one who's stretching out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's why I made this like towards the, so it's kind of like
So
smaller.
you have more of those in the.
Yeah, but then.
Show us.
Oh, yo, don't fail me down.
No, you have the point, because I cannot really see, because I am sure you have an idea about that as well and everything. But I'm not really sure how it translates into like a spatial experience.
That's true.
Could be secondary things, and actually this is not the strongest motive, but I remember you have this kind of drawing of the full square of so those things scattered around, right? And even if secondary and less important is something which explains and supports your.
Okay.
More comments?
It's just my like the background function.
Extraterrestrial.
Sort of like now I know why you always come to my place and see my plans.
That was my first plans, my first idea. Then Steve stole it, and then you stole from Steve. So it's. I see it. I see this box. I see this box on the facade.
I mean, it's okay because we have very different.
Maya was the one.
So the point is, you ever take Steve's plan at this stage and you continue with it, and we turn out something different. This is the tragedy of the money competition. Even the first prize, and this is somebody else developing the construction drawings, and somebody else developing, and it has totally different project. Totally lost, right? So it's hoping is not the problem. Actually, even if we are creative, what we work is about the images and the things we know already. We just combine that. Even the wildest dream is based on memories. Without it, you cannot really dream. So there's not a problem at all. One thing I would suggest, as it happened with the Sunjay and Mani, simplifying helps a lot, because now I think that the scale of the spaces are much more right. You crammed a lot of things inside, and the sections are a bit more relaxed. They're not so bad. They're just half done, but not bad. As I said, I think Hyunjin, I would not sections to the elevator, unless you're very proud of it, because there's this kind of cutting the whole section, right? And probably you're speaking about this movement, and this is not helping to understand it. So it is very easy to just move a little bit the section line to avoid it. Because what is the step that you can move? Right? So do not, if it's not absolutely necessary, I would not show the elevators in the section, because you might show only two sections, and they're too precious to be invested in some technical element. Whereas the stairs are important, right? Because here we see the movement and the connection to the places and so on. The other thing is you are commenting about this interesting flow, right? There would be any way that this flow connects to the way you separate the building, because once you start splitting the spaces, that movement is not so clear like that, right? So you have this, but I don't see it so clear.
I had
I
it
see
before,
the
but now
sequence.
it's gone.
Right, but probably you could recover it in some way, because you enter here, you then go up or down. It's not okay. You could enter to one side and the climax would be the top, and even you could connect or at least have the view to the Arco Museum or the National Action, and then you may not continue like the end in a visual connection, but this could be also a point. So the starting point and the conclusion of the design are more connected. But now the walking is a bit more relaxed, even from 1 week ago, it's much clearer. Right. Still do not need to put, if you need to put the labels, I think it's. So try to write less, and now there's something which you have to suggest for each here. And so some exercise how you draw a yoga room without putting the symbol, how you can represent it. And that will give us a feeling of next space for meditation, for contemplation, and so on. Good. The question is the trees. They're very dramatic, but are you going to put such a big trees there? Because right now they are small, right? In the back.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, that's interesting, but you have to comment about it. I mean, so the landscape is still.
Okay.
It's like a small, oversized, which is what happened. Okay, nice. But I promise not to do that. Good. Anything else to comment also? If not, let's make sure you put your comments and your evaluation. We have it's just 4, so we have like a 15 minutes break, right? And don't remove the last presentation for like 15 minutes. Thank you.
Don't remove.
After I take the photos. The last one, still okay.
Okay.
Steve Hyun-John and Yana. We can. Thank you. Can you stop this? Okay, so Checheso, are you ready to have
56 hours of staying awake.
Well, that's like a really army mode.
Yeah.
But I need you still fully functional for the following 3 weeks.
Well, the entire quite functional.
Fully functional.
Come on, who is fully functional here?
That's,
Everybody's like 1/4 functional.
that's not
disaster,
that
but-
logic doesn't play. Do you have model, Cheso? No model. Even 3 days without sleeping.
Didn't want to stay up for like.
Okay, so everybody, let's continue with the Uri Cheso. And okay.
Well, you
Whoever
tell me
is-
when start. When
Huh?
start. Do you have time? Do you have time limits or something like that? Should we wait for the guys? Or
That's indisciplined class. As you said, they are not functional. So that's
I told you I'm the most functional here.
apart from me, you mean?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You have your superpowers, don't you?
Oh, almost back. Yeah. Yesterday, I was officially
Yeah.
healed from my foot.
Oh,
The
really?
doctor said it's okay. You don't need to come anymore.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
So I may be 75%.
Oh, that's maybe more than all of the class combined. So.
Okay, so the time is running. So
Yeah.
can you start?
Yes, so I know some of you remember, but the project is Maronia Open Studio. The idea started from that there's not only in Maronia, but in general, Korea, there's a lack of public facility for recording and starting out musicians. So I know it's silly to bring Matrix here, but just to give you a short list of rooms, major rooms, there should be like 2 big recording spaces and 2 small mixing studios. And I tried to have the site more or less integrated by removing these structures here and creating new access with the entrances of the all surrounding buildings. So if you see the ground level floor, my new entrance in the ground floor is located exactly as it was before, but I couldn't find a better way to accentuate it, like having overwhelming structure here didn't really make sense for me. So using the sight line and creating new pavement and giving new access to these new entrance makes the ground floor entrance more visible and more connected to the site. And by moving the crossings to the sides of the Maronia Park, not like it used to just have it poked right here, it creates a more secluded plaza space. And the wall, I thought there should be some kind of dividing elements that keeps the park safe from the roads here. So there's patch of greens and another green separating the service area behind here and the more public back plaza here. So my main concern was the lobby space. So the program contains a very specialized sequence and lots of public intermingling in the same place. So it was sensible to have a big lobby space, a gracious space where people can enjoy without just having to come recording. Otherwise, it would be just like specialized place in the very public plaza. So this is the section through the lobby. So when you enter from the ground level to the entrance, you turn to the left, you see these void flowing up through the floors, which leads the circulation into the more specialized recording spaces. And recording spaces could be also used as an open theater or open stages. And underneath it are the more specialized and hidden away mixing studios. And when you go inside, there was in 예술가의 currently, there's a library there. And I thought for the community, it was better to keep it alive. And having library intermingling with all those recording facilities didn't really make sense. So when you enter through the entrance, you have this big lobby. And when you turn left, you go to the recording and music related facilities. You turn right, you go to the library dedicated for just public use. And there's a cafe on the top. So the basic idea of this extension came from two things. One was the Park Il-young's original composition of the building. So he had this main core structure here and have this layered circulation space on top of it. So I replicated his idea and having this corridor-like elements between the new and old, just like Park Il-young did with his original mass and the added corridor. And another reason was having fully functional recording facility inside the building that was built in 1930s was very tough and the space wasn't right. So making the extension and having the two structures separated by the corridor made it a more structurally soundproof elements or more suitable for the professionals. And the skylights are there. And these skylights accentuates the main lobby void, and it would lead the public to the upper floor and up to the cafe up here. So, right, thank you.
Okay. Comments, especially those who didn't say anything, which if I'm right, of course, we can still have Maya and Gonghi and Steve in the talk, but Sunjae and Sangjun are very quiet today. Mingyeon, Saya, I wish to speak a bit more. And Hyung, you opened the mouth once, I think. We need to just open your eyes. So, okay, so who wanted to speak first?
Me.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
Big question.
Can you explain me why you located the ceiling windows like that? Like why like that? Why from where it happened?
Here.
Not particularly in this part of the building, but what about the pattern? Because I see the pattern, the same pattern on the right part and in the middle of the building. Why?
Yeah, so
why.
this
was
is
that, why-
happening here also, right?
Yes.
But then it's not in the perspective, it's a bit suspicious of something
I didn't
happening in
know
the last minute.
that's correct. But also like I think me and also Maya and you saw the square composition repeating all over there, and I initially wanted to like what you did, having the whole top floor opened up and have the skylight through it, but I don't know why, but the structure here, like it being the first reinforced concrete building built in the Korea and all of those, I thought it would better to have them kept at least in the roof, more or less. And with that in mind and having the square composition idea combined, these were about the size I could get here.
Oh, it's not about the size, it's not about the form, it's about.
Pattern.
Yeah, how.
And that
The
explains
composition
the
and the position.
last
So-
minute, come on.
Probably,
But I think it works more or less. Like,
okay, so no, that's a good comment. So I annotated also, that's interesting. And I fully support having natural light whenever you can, right? But then my comment was, you have to be a bit more clear, solid about it.
Because it's
So you
really
know,
random.
Yeah.
Like you have
Right.
really, I can say that it's really strict.
building, but these
No, no,
components
no,
sticks
like,
out.
From even like from the history, we are saying, we are talking about the
Mhm.
composition and stuff.
Mhm.
You have really strict, solid lines based on the main entrances on the master plan,
Mhm.
and then you have quite rigid volumes on the
Mhm.
elevations and
Yep.
sections and on the plans, but then random, like you I feel that you work with the lines on the plan and
Yeah,
on the master plan, but then even if it's the last minute thing, it's too random, like, you know, it's too just.
I didn't want to say this, but it was like not the last minute, but the last 10 seconds thing. And I thought
Okay,
it would
so
better
it
to show
is-
there is skylight
No,
there
it
at
is-
least.
Right, it's nice, it's clear, but it's clear you have to do it. So
Yeah, it's gonna come.
Jana was being very kind, telling your project is painfully rational. And suddenly it's nice you have something which is irrational and makes the contrast. So that's okay. You need this kind of gestures, this kind of freedom, this kind of accent, right? But yeah, just to work a little bit more to have some connection with those reasons, right? Or against those reasons if you want.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. More comments.
Thank you.
I have a question or slash comment about the site.
Yep.
I think it's interesting what you do to sort of invite people to the second entrance with the line, but
Mhm.
visually the building is not really seen from like its best angle, and your extension is kind of hidden by the second part of the trees. Like
Here
on-
or
to the
this
left.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your extension, I don't know, doesn't really get the recognition of it being like any part of the building, I feel like, because it's hidden by both of those trees. And like, I don't know, it's in the part of the building that is otherwise most open to
Mhm.
the public and people passing by, but now it's sort of seems like it's, yeah, kind of in the corner a little bit.
Yeah,
Well,
that's-
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's probably, that was more than 10 seconds, but still the site's very much improved because we have almost nothing there, right? But still, yeah, it is clear.
Yeah.
Not much, but needs to have a bit more balance. I have also a couple of comments about it. That's why I took the missing blue.
But your
Yeah,
perspective section is.
is almost okay. It's close to acceptable.
Okay. It's, I can see
Well,
the sleep deprivation.
I think if I didn't have enough time to do it, but if I had this elevation cut it from over here, not just straight to the building, and have how dense the foliage was, it would
something
rather
like
make
It
sense.
looks so big, it kind of looks like a forest.
Right.
Yeah, and you're right, because my idea of these was having more or less safe and walkable and stayable place apart from this big fat road asphalt there. And having a wall over here doesn't really make sense. Having mound over here didn't really make sense, but having patches of foliage kind of made sense. So this is my first try. So thank you.
So it's not bad for the first try.
Just even now, the site is kind of cut off from that street just with the pavilions and other things. So I feel like this wouldn't really, I don't know, it would just cut it off more, even though it's a nicer gesture.
I'm kind of torn between it. I kind of want to torn it off from this road, but also I get your point.
Yeah, so that's the point. It's more than 10 seconds, but still it's work and it's very clear. So, and it's good you did, because I think it's the most elaborate site plan we have so far. So that's most elaborate perspective section and most elaborate site plan, which is 2 points possible.
56 hours worth it.
It's always worth. More comments?
Okay, I have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you will demolish every slab inside, like separate.
Yeah, like parts here and parts here. Well, at least I kept the walls.
And that's a third. Oh, that's the first floor.
Hmm? This one?
Yeah.
This is the ground floor.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah. And then can you explain about the ramp?
Ramp. Well, it took me long days to have this ramp working, and
well, took still, I would say still taking, it's getting better, but still it's not final. Sorry to say.
Did you really have to say that?
Yeah, it is it's almost something, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I guess this is one of my irrational things happening here. It's quite rational already, but like I have this thing about rational things. You can see it here, and I really try to have them fixed in one of the orthodox grid here, and it didn't really work. And I
So
thought,
it's actually functional, yeah.
Hmm?
It's actually functional.
yep, but it's on exterior, whole exterior.
It's not just for the promenade, it's not just for
No, it's for.
it's actually like needed
No,
there.
she's giving you hints. So it is necessary, it's helping us a little, but it's also for promenade, it's a gesture, it's a rational. They're giving you ideas to support it.
Yeah, I thought I always had this ramp behind here because one of the most valuable point I thought about this original building is the tiles and the materials are there. I wanted to have ramp behind here so that people could go up and enjoy the back facade, how the material and the tiles are placed there. And
then they will enjoy your own tiles or your own construction because it will be more beautiful because you're very close to your extension.
Yeah.
Right? So the turning point actually is, this is the thing they will experience more.
Mhm.
So that means you're very confident you will do something much better.
Yeah.
Be careful with.
I don't know, I feel like that by the ramp you
Why would
prevent
someone go
the
there?
view- No, you like prevent the view, you like making the
Hmm.
diagonal line on the back facade. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like this.
yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's about enjoying the tiles, questionable. Because
Hmm.
there are a lot of
Yeah.
buildings that do the same thing in Korea and
No, but this is better. No, but that's the point. There's the ramp is also okay. It's getting better, but still not yet. Yeah.
I mean, like if you make the story, if you
Right.
make the story, it will work. But then
So
right now,
right, it is functional.
Yeah,
It's the promenade. It's many things. Just 2 comments. You have this diagonal, which is important, right?
Yes.
And this has only the counterpoint here in the ramp. So probably you could stress a bit more this kind of point here and also use the green there, right? And then we should be able to see it. So I don't understand why it doesn't have this diagonal happening here because it will support this ramp, right?
Mhm.
And this patch here,
Yes.
right? Which probably is a bit longer. Right?
Mhm.
Then things probably you could go a bit farther, but this could be even if you cannot cross, or even if you can still have a vision from here,
Yeah.
not the ramp, but whichever is the background for
Mhm.
that, right?
Mhm.
And I think this is something, if you have it here, you can translate.
Mhm.
This is why the landscape of 1 to 500 has to be put in the 200 scale because then you elaborate on that. Right?
Okay.
And
Scale.
something, right? Right. Yeah. And you miss right. The 500, you have to put it in the, well, it's 300. No, this
It's
is 30.
500.
Then you have to translate it here and see how it elaborates, right? Not the full everything, but in this area should appear at least what you have. Right?
Do you remember the 1 to 200 drawing big ass one?
Just a moment. Sanjay, I think was first. You wanted to comment something?
Yes, brother.
And then Steve.
How about the ramp?
Yes.
In a plan is site plan.
Yes.
Site plan.
Mm.
I think the ramp is the direction is here, but ramp is blocking the direction. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Your plan,
Like here.
is saying about the I did not want to use this. So ramp is important point for your project.
You're asking me.
Yeah, I do ask.
Well, I think it is, and day by day, it is getting further away from the building.
Yeah.
So having courtyards here would probably make more sense than what is now. Now I see your points. Like it's kind of in between. Like this courtyard is quite small to do anything here, and the same plaza here. It's kind of already also a bit weird.
I will use this. I will use this garden, but
Yes.
it blocks is and is.
Okay.
It is important, but it's still finding this place. This is why I put what he said in the past is present. Gave me a lot of work. No, it's giving a lot of work, but still finding this place. Okay, thanks for the comment.
Thank you.
Steve, please.
Oh shit, please.
One moment that really stood out for me in your floor plan is where you have the columns on the
Here?
right side. No.
Here,
On the outside.
big ones. Yeah.
There's a lot of buildings, especially in Italy and Switzerland and Germany, which have this kind of element. So they contract the facade from the street so that they can clear out more space. And I feel like it's a really, really nice and really good moment that I feel like it's not really taken advantage of, partly because of the position, because it's right next to an alley and it's kind of secluded. But at the same time, I really, really would like to see how you could maybe integrate it a bit more as a public space or as a
That's true.
maybe not necessarily a place to stop, because even if there are some other buildings, people, okay, they might stop to catch some shade, to catch a breath or something like that.
Right.
But it's maybe this is more personal than anything, but it's a very familiar moment that is, I feel like it was one of the nicest things. The moment I noticed it in the plan, I was like, oh, that looks really interesting.
Yeah, Russia. Right, but
Okay.
thank you. But see, this is one of the, you just pointed out the points I am underdeveloping. This alley here, and this column gesture was, it was initially a wall here, and it would make people suffocate walking there, just having them up and having structure separated from the rumble from the ground. It would make sense both acoustically and urbanly. And yep, I could develop there. Thank you. It was really nice comment. Thank you.
Actually, it's interesting, but curiously, an alley, it's quite monumental, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not creating really a space to walk behind because they're blocking the space. Right?
Yes.
You can also
Kind of.
look at the solution, for example, what Le Corbusier did in Unité de l'Habitation.
Oh,
where
yeah.
He dug underneath the building and then supported the columns. Now, that example itself and the tactic is quite dense in the building itself because it doesn't quite work. But maybe for a sidewalk thing, it might bring like a change of level or something. A bit more interesting.
Right.
Because, from what I see from the elevation, there is not that much headroom above it. So the level itself is quite small.
Yeah.
So it might look out of proportion. But
Maybe this is why Yoon Jung put Sunken down there. Do you remember her project? The one with the big monument.
That's a big part. So the problem here, you'd have very few elements to create everything there. And in the section, they don't feel so necessary because at least in the section, it looks very light elements, right? So in that section, probably you would expect the supports to be in this line, right? Not in this line. For this one, you need to expect a very heavy structure. Right there, right?
Yeah.
Still something in development, but yeah, it's kind of contradictory. Okay, nice comment, thank you.
Better.
Anything else to close?
I have
Maya,
one
okay.
other question about the
Yes.
entrance. I see you're also keeping the original entrance.
Yes.
They're making the new entrance right next to it.
Mhm.
The new entrance is also right next to where you would start walking up the ramp to the other main entrance. And I don't know, the way you explained what you see when you come in from the new entrance and what happens was really nice, but I don't see what happens when you go through the other entrance, or what's the value of keeping them both so close to each other? I guess, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so you speak of this entrance and the entrance next to it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I here when you come through the new entrance, it's right next to when you would
Yeah, just go up
also
there.
go to
Right.
the
That's right.
main entrance. So I don't see why this
Having
point
two
of
entrances.
decision to me is kind of
Yeah,
confusing.
but this is where the landscape plays again, right? And you can have this pavement continuing and going to there. So you have something, and you have the dilemma, but here you may have space enough to think where to go. Still you have the two options, right?
I think here you don't have the ramp and it looks much more understandable, or like more.
Yeah, but if I introduce this one, it kind of becomes confusing, and
Well,
I'm giving people
this-
choices
The
to.
pavement and the way you work is one of the keys.
And also like when you come through the main entrance, like you're, I guess the opposite way of the stairs, like this is from the new entrance, right?
Yeah.
So when you come from the other entrance, you have to go back and then up the stairs. I don't like.
Something
there's-
like that here.
But I find still the stairs quite logical, right? So you enter, you go straight, and you enter, you have the stair in the front. So it's quite easy to understand. So
Very
that
functional.
about the stair position, I don't complain. Right? So I think it's more a question of how
No,
you
not
treat the
the-
landscape and
not
the
the stair
stairs.
position. I was just thinking of.
I initially
The
had
two
my
entrances
entrance,
so close.
but it had lots of problems.
It's like here,
Yeah.
you have to go here and then up, right? Like this.
No, no, it is open here. The
So
section
now
is-
you enter and you go just straight to the stairs. So it's quite straight.
So this part, this
So
opening
you-
here, it's
You enter through here, and you enter the stair, or you enter through there and go upstairs. So I think that's quite
Okay, okay,
organized.
okay.
in that sense.
No, yeah, okay, I get it now.
It's
Oh,
okay.
the
The blue
beautiful
was
section,
missing.
Professor.
No, it was the missing blue. One thing I would suggest is we have
Yes.
interesting things happening here. So you have like this wide area in front of this building. It's a bit versatile here, so probably you could do something around there. And I miss that in that place. So we have like a very strong line to one point,
Ending
which
with the-
I don't know how important this is. This is area which I think, because this could be one of those expansions, right? Or you could have something, as it happens here, right?
Yes.
And also I would try to recover this kind of, at least visually, even if you cannot cross, but the visual axis, I think is also important.
Okay.
The small things. So this suggestion here is something you can work in other places.
Okay.
We have a patch of openings. Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Right.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I was asking if
Okay,
anybody
I think
has any-
that's enough.
Yeah, I took enough questions.
Next is Maya. Okay.
Oh.
And let's have Maya a little bit in diagonal. So did you evaluate and self-evaluate properly? So let's go to number 8.
Professor, did you start the recording?
I think it is a recording, yes. It is recording. And I guess still the sound is okay. Maybe it's something to check just in case, because those things seem to get tired with time. But still, at least the subtitles seem okay. So probably the sound is coming. Okay. Time is running.
Okay. Oh, um, for this project of a meditation center in what used to be Artist House. I followed the structure or the logic of the original building with the cubes and the ratios, and developed a sort of grid from which a series of smaller pavilions or smaller buildings are developed, and then they're connected with like a transition space between them that is kind of meant to be like a semi-exterior, semi-interior space. You can see that in the model. It's like a glass connection between more solid elements. And so, yeah, this the arrangement of the program in my building is that on the first floor, there's mainly the service areas on, so actually the first floor is split into two parts. One of them is accessible only to employees and workers, so it's mostly the service areas, and then the second part towards the west is meant as a meditation area, lounge, and this connection space that leads to the more private meditation spaces, which is where also there's a new entrance here into the connection space to make sure that it's accessible to everyone. But this space is also accessible from the main entrance on the second floor with the stair going downstairs. And then the second floor, so the main, the first point of entrance is also a big lobby, a big sort of reading, sitting, socialization area for everyone that's using this building. And then as you go to the top floor, the third floor, it developed into workshop areas and sort of like a multi-purpose rooms, because they're just divided by partitions. So it can be one open space for bigger events or smaller workshop areas for small classes or something like that. And then these smaller pavilions are opened towards this private nature or smaller gardens that I'm designing to make sure the meditation space is this sort of pleasant nature connected space, and closed towards the streets, the main noise and visual noise generators, as well as to the original building, so that there's this sort of level of privacy maintained. But also this original wall of the building sort of serves as this semi-permeable wall that serves as like a ensuring more privacy and more interior feel in the original building, and more exterior and more public feel in the transition connection space. Thank you.
What do you mean by those arrows?
Yeah, so the back of the site, here's the street for the cars that are going through the building at the back of our site, but my idea was to make it sort of only as small as it's necessary to be, and then make the rest of these gardens that I'm creating here extend more also towards the back of the building, and then also towards the parking.
Being expansive, but not as aggressively as Steve, but more.
Yeah, right. So that
expanding. Okay.
my building is kind of like in the middle
Okay,
of more
that's-
nature,
okay,
and then this
okay.
nature sort of blends out.
Okay, thank you. So comments and questions?
Yeah, it's really nice because how you connected with art and surrounding. And when I see your plan, it reminds me of this. Are you get idea from this? I mean, it's very nice.
Thank you.
So that's a flattering comment. Well, reminds me of this. It is very hard, probably the hardest to imitate is Miss Bendero of all the masters. Right is very easy to imitate, but hard to make it better. Okay,
Thank
so you reply. Did you think about Mies van der Rohe? Or
You know, all of the architecture that we have in our brains is the basis of new architecture. So.
yeah, yeah, that's true. This is why you need to know a lot and to have a lot of things in your of good ones, right? You have a lot of rubbish in your brain, then you produce rubbish also. You have to be careful of the things you. Yeah, I had one of my Sunday in Madrid. Said this professor was so good because he cleaned your brain of trash. Yeah, he take all the shit out. I can say this shit, not trash, out of your brain, and you become clear to better things. So we all need to clean our brains from time to time of crazy things. Okay, so more comments or suggestions, right?
That's it. I'm not so sure. This is your speculation. So
Oh, well.
just looking by the section, it kind of makes sense. It has like this white space, just like it's always open space in like small cave, and it opens up suddenly. And it is also visible in your plan. Like you have this lounge here, there's narrowing, and there's another rhythm going up to the main lobby here. And I think that kind of flow could be continued onto your workshop. It doesn't always is your problem.
That's a good point. I think just the meditation spaces, the meditation areas are just sort of main spaces of my building. So the idea was to, yeah, connect them with the point of entrance, because this connection was the most important, and like giving the same importance to the workshop areas maybe didn't
You
seem
mean
as
this connection,
Over
not
monumental.
this connection.
yeah, this connection.
To disconnect.
Two words.
So you're kind of worried if your workshop space is like going to the workshop is more glorified than going to
Right. I was struggling a little bit with how to, because I'm keeping the entrance on the second floor, but all of my main spaces are pretty much on the first floor. So I wasn't sure how to make sure that people would feel that there's stuff going on downstairs that they should go see, which is why there's this new entrance here, but also the circulation to the other fronts of the building is in this functional box at the back. But yeah, good point. Thank you.
Something you may want to consider.
Yeah.
More comments?
Covered by
You can see the model.
Yeah.
Motion it now. Then still you have to refine the structure, right? This kind of improvisation. Okay. More comments, questions, especially Sunje, Mingyan, and Saya. Nothing to say?
If you really want to create garden,
Yeah.
if you create a pocket, I would understand. It's more or less in line.
Yeah, that's why I don't know yet, exactly how to do it, but this really is quite.
I thought you were gonna say it's a visual disconnection element, trying to save your meditation place. It's foliage. I thought this was not a garden, but it was like your castle wall. Your sacred space.
Yeah, but yeah, this is so. What happens in those courtyards is interesting, but still, we question, right? Because they were supposed to be half private, but not totally open. So you want to look here and just out the glass or
right.
something that this is a bit strange. You have an arrow towards the corner. If this is centralized, you have to really draw an entrance. And as we say with it, just so what you do in the landscape also helps understand that. Right? Other thing I would be careful is this element is interesting, but I wouldn't be so solid against the building. I would try to make some kind of contrast. But since the keep indicating elements of the building, I don't think it works. I would use more the language you use in your extensions. Right? And then other thing which is very obvious is, okay, you have a huge lobby, but it cannot be so big. And I wonder what you did with this. You leveled everything? Because we don't have this section, right?
Yeah, the sections are through
So
here.
but actually you cannot enter in this as you draw it.
Right, yeah, there's, okay, yeah.
Okay, so this is something, but I think this is interesting, but I don't know if there's the movable walls, you have to explain that.
Mm.
But then I'm not sure what happens here, right? It's okay. You have huge spaces there,
Mm.
which probably something happens there, can be something flexible, movable. That's really not open ground.
Mm.
This is something the model will not review. There's, I guess this bridge is open air,
Yeah, and here too.
so you have to get out and then inside. Okay. You could have a small tunnel if you want. So
Yeah.
it depends on. how you plan about it.
This is a point of struggle actually, because it's the transition space, the connection space is somewhat low, and
Right.
creating a tunnel here would ruin this elevation also.
Okay, so you can always go to the exterior, but maybe not tunnel, but probably at least one canopy. Thinking, well, actually it's not here, it's in this.
It's
other side,
here.
right? So maybe slight elements could work without having to solve it.
Mm.
Other thing, if you have 2 floors here, I wonder if you may treat a bit different these points, right?
Mm.
Or inside. So if you unify more, there's no big deal, whatever.
Mm. Yeah, this is just because these walls are towards the
Yes,
street, so I
right.
wanted to close it.
So probably you may want to show the sections on the openings at some point, because that maybe gives a better impression. At least to think about it, and you show the section which works better.
Mm.
I think remember this is the 3D model. You have to make sure that you have some structure here clearly. Okay. Good. Other thing is I see you're working in 2 kinds of openings,
Mm.
but still I'm not sure about the dimensions, because you have like broken modules around there, so you may want to find some kind of dimension which really works for it. Very
Mm.
difficult points in many parts,
Mm.
and I would be a bit careful with it, right? And this is, yeah, the stair probably is so big, probably could be lighter and more transparent.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh, another only one.
Yes.
Why did you put the wood in front of it?
The what?
Is it wood? Or in front of the entrance?
Where?
Wood.
Where?
The ground floor,
Yeah.
right next to the original cafe basement.
This.
Because I mean, it's
It's a bit of a shame. that
Probably
they're,
we
like,
could have some kind of
openings.
garden there.
yeah.
Well, it's gonna have a nice
Something.
view to be honest.
And to people entering the space. you know, like-
But the people from the square are also gonna have.
But
Yeah.
that's not the
Is
point.
it nice?
So you may work with green and something to create a courtyard there.
Not sleeping make me go crazy.
Yeah, toilets are a bother always, right? Everybody's offering them, but at least it's somebody trying to make kind of a panoramic toilet, which can but still you have good privacy. But I appreciate you were quite careful with the toilets in general. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Just a moment. Let's take this out. Now let's move to the far west. 밑에 있어. 밑에 꽂혀 있어. Do you have model, Sanjay?
No. I don't know
I
time
think.
for making a model.
Okay, you can see that.
Yeah. At first, I start the presentation. Good afternoon. And first thing I say is about the building analysis. At first, Park Il-yong's first plan is symmetry and made of the square, 정사각형, consist of the square. But after the 1930, it plan changed it
it consists of the square and rectangles. So I found the concept of the changing, change concept of I found the concept from the change. So I designed like a rectangle or square and change. Yeah, it's a proportion. At first, in the ground floor, you enter this entrance, and I made the existing building like a lobby, a big lobby. I made the atrium in here, and and visitor enter the atrium, and a visitor can go to the dance hall and to the auditorium. And if the performer needs a backstage, so I made a backstage in the backside of the dance hall and atrium, and made a second entrance for a performer, and come to the backstage and prepare for the performance and go to the performance. This is my ground floor plan. Theater auditorium needs a reception and courtroom or storage for the visitors, 귀중품, like a watch. So I made them in here, the storage and reception, and I made a courtroom near the reception. And stairs go up to the second floor. The main entrance is here, and we can show. I made the dance hall like an open stage, like open, closed but open to see. So I made it glass. Window. I made a window but not open, just closed to see the performance in here, and office or and go up the third floor. Third floor is a very have a very nice view of the Maronia Square, but this is also hard to assess because of the top floor. So I made a practice room to here, to practice room to practice to see enjoy a Maronia's view around here. And yeah, this is my section. I made the atrium and made the 천창 mask. Made the pieces of glass and light. Made a lightful space. And also in the backstage, I have to say one more. In the backstage, and before was a garden, and before like my midterm in the open auditorium, but I made this change it as a resting space for artist performers. Yeah, so I made the glass and go to the resting place and rest. Yeah, okay. My presence is over. Thank you. Okay, who wants to comment? I'm serious. At least 3 people didn't say a word. You have the opportunity to say something. It is mandatory to comment. You have to exercise yourselves in commenting things over people, right? Okay. Yes.
So that's the courtyard, right?
Where you pointed? Yeah. What do you mean of the courtyard?
This one.
Yes, this is a courtyard.
And this is only for the artists.
No, we can go. Mainly, I think first of the performers, but visitor can come to here. They can come here, eat together, but more like hidden space. You, 만약에 if I think of visitors first, 내가 여기를 좀 스페셜하게 만들었겠지. I made it special, but I did not. And
I think first in the visitors. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. More comments, questions? Critics? Yes.
I really like it. I don't know why. I mean, like the
Like or
gesture,
why?
I mean, like the gesture by itself is really, I don't know. It's really like the windows.
Yes.
Maybe not this size, but the movement is really nice. I don't know why. It's like I don't know. It's really nice gesture.
Yeah, the first in here, I want to make the open stage like people are saying, yeah, visual open, but it was closed like a wall. So I made it this facade like a glass, and
Maybe these windows are too size. That maybe the proportion is weird, but the left is nice.
Yeah.
We can.
I want to make the long window, but making two of them is my mistake.
Yeah, if I were you, I would draw the original building window, not just the window, but the vertical decoration lines.
Yeah.
And just say you replicated those ratios that happen on the horizontal. So it kind of matches. It has a dialogue between you and that kind of, the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Also, maybe all about the stage, the planning is to. The stage is this one, right?
Yeah, stage is
Why
here.
like that? Like that.
Maybe because of the square composition, he's kind of obsessed with it.
Oh, but you can like follow the square. You can follow the square. I don't know. It's like because everything is quite like and then by the plan you draw this. I don't know.
The diagonal grid.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Right.
It can be a gesture, but if it's a gesture, then you need to make it more.
Yeah.
And usually square is acoustical disaster.
Well,
We will talk about
you have to work about it.
Yeah, I have to work about it, but
So yeah, I'm not too uncomfortable with it because the previous stages were much worse. This is a bit organized, but still it might work because this is mostly interior layout, right? Then you have a bit uncomfortable limits around there and very weird thing around here, right? Which is incorporated inside. But still, I don't think that's the main problem here. Might work, right? Still, it's a point why the diagonal there could happen in other places. You can play with two games over there. Somebody was going to comment more things. Yes.
Well, the looking for a diagonal position, maybe you can put some figure in outside if they have some diagonal position. I mean, 그러니까 저기 구성하면 외부에 꼭 건물을 추가를 안 하더라도 그 여기가 다이아고널로 되어 있다는 거를 표시할 수 있는 뭔가 있으면 조금 더.
다이아고널이 뭐야? What is diagonal?
There's diagonal.
It's
45 degrees, right?
숨기고 싶은데 그 프로그램상 그려야 되는 거라면.
That's all.
Okay.
Could be or might not. Yeah, this is a possibility. Still, I think as an interior gesture on interior could work. It's not big deal with it, but could be. Steve, you were going to say something?
Yeah. My question was about these two smaller extensions here. I see there is a space above them. Is it accessible from somewhere?
What?
Like, can you go on top of here?
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it made of glass?
In here, I think the glass facade, and in here is maybe just a concrete or white terracotta, or
It's a wall. It's just a canopy, or is it a mass?
So you can see it. You have the section here, right?
yeah.
So you can see clearly he drew the section. You don't need to ask. You need
Yeah,
to
but then
look.
on here, like even you see it on the section here, it can be glass facade, which is transparent, or it can be just canopy. So
The drawing is
what this?
transparent, but we don't have any hint about it. It's true.
Because
It
on the
seems you have-
section, yeah, but then it
Yes.
can be a canopy. Just 그거
아,
그냥
원래 it outside this wall block 하고 싶었어. 근데 이게 it's hard to ventilate, so I made this.
그러면
오케이.
그냥 벽이 없어?
어?
벽이 없지.
어디가?
여기
Where?
여기 이거 벽이 아니지. 벽이 없지.
벽이야.
아 벽이야?
It's wall.
근데 여기는 없잖아.
아,
Yes, because we see the windows behind. But you do the windows.
Yeah.
we have to see.
예.
So why do you keep that ugly facade? You have to show it without.
아,
This is elevation.
just for tracing. This is my elevation. Thank you, professor.
One thing
then
still, I'm not totally sure about those windows, right? It's the same requirements with the Hyunjin. Jesol gave you some hints, and I don't understand why you keep those ugly windows of the existing building, which are the worst design you may have in this kind of window. Why? Don't tell me you like them.
Because he modeled it.
아,
Those
that's no, but
probably the worst possible partition. This is if you see it around, this is quite weird entrance. I can see the intention,
yeah.
but I don't get the tree so close to the building, just in the middle. They have this axiality, which appears to be almost, but moving a little bit around, right? So that symmetry is a bit hard to understand,
Yeah.
because you're giving a lot of formality to an element which is not so formal. Still, it's
Cool.
getting in, right? But we have this section. No. This is one section you should show, actually, right? Because apparently this is okay, it's a bit small, but good work, right? Other thing, yes, go on, man.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe you don't need walls here.
Huh?
Or is it good? Is it used space?
It's like the backstage, right? The
Backstage,
service
backstage for
area
service
for
for
those.
performers, or like actors, more like singers.
But this could be kind of actors entrance with all the service space, but still go to the courtyard, right? So having it severed is a little bit, well, they could be one for one theater, one for the other.
Yeah.
But maybe this used to be the large theater, now this is the large one, right?
Yeah.
So probably may have like a bit more symmetrical, like have some kind of entrance there with the tree, something in the back, and some kind of more relaxed space around. Right?
Or no, or just like put this off and that will be really monumental.
Yeah. Yeah, still. Yeah, there's something weird. You have an element which is just in continuation with the existing. This is one of the most difficult decisions in terms of expansion. They have one thing which is totally inserted as tangent to the wall, but also continuing in a very ambiguous way. It's getting better than before. It's better, but still there's small details which are a bit ambiguous there, right? The sections are nice actually. So you have to work the acoustics here, right?
Yeah.
And this seems you have this kind of a facade. So it's interesting to get a facade in the side of the theater, right? But you will have a problem with acoustics.
Yeah.
And careful when you put the stairs under one roof, like this kind of very narrow element.
Yeah.
In a very formal stair, you have to be careful with it. You need a lot of height between the stair and the floor on the top. Yeah. You have the stair climbing, and you have a ceiling very close. Even if you have the minimum distance in a monumental stair, you need really to be comfortable, not to feel this. There's a small detail, right? But since you draw it, we can see it. The original.
Planning to use the original entrance. 기존 출입문을 사용할까요?
Well, apparently it's a main entrance, right? It's a very strong one. Yeah, I think last week it was a disaster. Now it kind of works. So not so disaster. We can talk about the details of the toilets, but that's the smallest thing we can comment with. still landscape, you are drawing it, but the trees are beautiful, nicely drawn.
Thank you.
But I wonder if the proper
Yeah.
place, if the landscape is correct, but the trees are nice.
Okay.
Okay, right, good. If no more comments, we can go to the next.
Thank you.
Neon, which is just in the front. We have 64%, which may be okay.
My program was music library, that which is a cultural facilities that a lot of people can enjoy easily. And in this master plan, this red one is my extension. And the key point of my extension is that I was trying to cover the existing building without destroying existing building. And the main extension is this large lobby. And I was trying to bring some people from here to Maronia Park. So people can both pass through from Maronia Park to this street and from this street to Maronia Park. As you can see from this section, when you come through this lobby, you can smoothly go to this stair and go to Maronia Park. Or if you come from this Maronia Park, you can enter here from existing entrance, and you can also pass through this way. So I was trying to connect this Maronia Park and this street with this lobby, and the main void space in my building is this stair space. So this void space is my main space, and people, when this is the ground floor plan, and when people come through here or here, they can choose they have three choices. They can go to this library that can read books, or they can go this music library, which there are a lot of vinyl CD and people can enjoy auditory things, or they can go up and go through the Maronia Park. And also, if people come through this Maronia Park, they have same choices, going down, going to library, or going to auditory space. So this center will be the circulation space that people can go up and down, and there in both sides there will be a main program, which is library and auditory space. So when you see this first floor, as I said before, this is library space, and this is another new extension that people can read books in more open spaces. And here is also open spaces with glass that people can enjoy listening to music in more open space. And this small extension is for children, and children can, because children need a large space and space by nature, there will be there will be a garden for children. So there is 4 extension in this first floor. And when we go up to a second floor, there will also be a same extension as first floor, so people can read and listen in more open space. And as you can see from this section, there is a small void space in this library space and auditory space, because I want to make people to recognize that there is also an under space, also in same library space and auditory space in first floor. So I try to make a small void space in both main spaces. And if we go to the third floor, there will be
larger spaces that people can gather. So this will be an auditory space, that auditory and visual space that people can both see, watch, and listen to music. And this additional extension will be a multiple purpose hall that people can use for talk or lecture. Yes, and if I also use the rooftop floor as a cafe, so people can enjoy view for Maroni Park and Bukhansan. So yeah, the topmost floor will be a cafe with this extension in the topmost floor. Yeah, so this is my elevation, and I use a main. My material is glass. Yes, and I'm trying to I'm dealing with these mullions because if there is just whole glass, there will be too much sunshine. So yes, I'm now dealing with these mullions to control the sunshine. Thank you.
Okay. Comments?
So one thing you told us is you're connecting and
Yes.
and well, it makes sense, but to me, I think it's kind of weird because when I try to go to when I try to go to other side through the building, and so your programs are a library, right? So library kind of very it's just my own opinion. To me, it's like very to be quiet and to be careful my works, but when I just go through the building, it's kind of very cautious. Yeah. So then, is there any special idea from your plan? So I just want to ask you, or you're dividing, or something, or to more very calm, or something.
I was trying to divide the space with these walls, and especially this library will be quiet, but this auditory space is not just quiet. And my music library is not that static library like ordinary library, but it's more, yes, related to music, so it will be more free than other ordinary library.
You have a question or when you put glass, I think when you put glass, there should be something worth seeing. So there should be some like beautiful things to see outside. That's why you put glass, not the walls there. And seeing your site, a suggestion, your master plan. I think if you could add a bit more elements, especially on the south side where there's like big ass building up there, and make it more pleasant and make it worth seeing through the glass would be a really nice touch, and it would greatly improve your project heavily. When you draw the elevations and sections, maybe you could extend them a bit more and have the context and have the outside garden or trees or beautiful things to see. And if you express them on the drawing, it would be great. And I think that also connects to my second feelings about this project. You have this grand staircase coming up from the ground floor to the right to the mouth of the main floor, and that staircase is beautiful. Your master plan, I think if your master plan suggested why most of the people would go turn all
all the way through the back to the south side and go to your glass box to enter the grand staircase. If there's a reasoning for it, or if there's like a believable gestures there, would be really.
I have more comments. So did you rent visualize that?
No.
I don't.
It was one of your case studies, right?
When you get there, they have the big opening there, and you can see the whole city through the door without entering the building. And so when I see your case study, I'm really expecting for that. And but yeah, so myself, not myself, like when you give them more open to the public, maybe it could be more work at your idea.
Okay, but still you have to reply to Cheso. Right. He made a question, how do you expect people to really use their back? Is really what you're thinking, or? So the point is, if I got the question right, you expect people to enter through here or through there, right? The question is, what would motivate people to go that far if the entrance is clearly here? That's cool. I think that was the question. Or you might think about it, you make up till it. Okay. So they might want to explain later. More questions or comments? Saya, you're looking very much in depth.
Actually, he asked the question that I wanted to ask about.
Why to ask a question? So
about the people come into in the both sides,
right.
And she had a library. It was like the same versions, because I see the wall, but like no doors, right? They have like a huge.
So you have one entrance, you have to really make clear you can enter, right?
They need to.
And
go to the
then,
stairs.
as many of your classmates are doing, suggest instrument of pavement, right? A movement to just suggest the direction, because when you're walking around the park, trees and pavements also help you to find that place, right? Yeah. Good. More comments? No. Okay, I have a couple of them. Shouldn't, but I have them. So I kind of remember your starting idea was like a kind of a wells of light or cubes of light. Light was the key word. And today you started working, speaking about wrapping with the volumes. I think I would keep the idea of light, right? Just with memory, right? And express it in some way, because that could also kind of answer a little bit Jesus. Glass is not only for views, it's also for light. And you may have a transparent, you may have also translucent, you may have, so you may work in this kind of gradation. You may have like a 3-4 kinds of uses of glass, right? Right. Then the small thing there is this section. Is it like this, really? Look at this section here. So of course, you will not want to have this kind of very low ceiling, but actually this stair ends a bit earlier, right? And then you have like 2 side stairs. So before the sections. Okay. Then other thing, if you want to have the 3 directions, this opening suggests this is like the most important. But still you may have some kind of a door control for the noise to do it. This side is a little bit more difficult to find it because you have many things around there. So you may want to push a bit elevators to have the 2 sides so that the election is a bit more even, right? And then of course the landscape, right? So that's something you can do later. The other things kind of work. Still, you will have problems to have this accessible. You have to work on that, but small details, right? So if you have this, I would have like small lobby for the toilets, right? It's too much in the front, but where you could have some kind of side lobby, so not so much in the front. This kind of works, but the small details, okay? Good. Okay, so who's next? Saya, let's move to the far east. Because that's the east, actually south, right? Let's go to the south. Make sure you evaluate, annotate. You have 1 minute for that. And we have still some, okay, and let's put some kind of battery here. Because it is 50%. Okay, wait a second because everybody is very busy writing many comments.
It's kind of nervous.
Okay, relax. Yeah, because I think it's your first presentation. Okay, so come back to Saya. She's making her first presentation. So, okay, take your time and start, please.
Okay. So the program of this project, of my project, it was to do this building more openable for the people, that people can use it for free and can use it all the time. And I come up with the idea that maybe the town road is the road of the university, and we have like a lot of the peoples in different age that they study or just do their activities there. So this building actually is no one across by the building, and actually is not using that much. And I wanted to open it and do more like a social and more publish. And first of all, you can see this is the ground floor of the building. Here we have two entrances. This is the main building as it was, and I keep this entrance here so people can come inside, and then we have a elevator there too. So the first floor, the basement floor, is actually the more this side of this building. It's more published. This is the new building and the existing building, and I joined it with some of the corridors that come into outside. And actually this the new building, it goes with the coffee shop that that goes by the kind of the library, open library, so people can come and read the books or study there and drink the coffee. And it's in this new building, it's all the like independent building. If this main building is closed, this building can actually work all the day. And in the first floor, actually here is just the open space here. The people can do the open seminars and go to the back outside or enjoy the coffee. And then here you can see that I put here the circulation. It's just this big stairs. Yeah, the big stairs. But it's just not just like the one stairs. It's you can actually use for just sitting there and talk with your friends or do your activities or do your stuff and with the books and something like this. And this side of the building, it's actually more private, not like kind of private, it's more quiet than this, than other side of the building. Here, people can just sit and do their individual work. And then if you go up to the stairs in the second floor, you can see, so you can go up, and here is starts the corridor of the second floor. It's actually kind of a circulation that people can actually choose where they want to go. Here you can see these little rooms. It's more for like the seminar rooms for the people, or actually the people who want to practice their work. I put the toilet here is under the stairs because this stair is kind of long and go far, and it's more. I think will be the best location for the toilets. And here, the main entrance actually, you can go inside the main entrance, and like if you want to go to the upstairs or go down, you have the elevator one and the stairs here too. This space, it's more like for just sit and chill and talk with the friends, and then you can go to the outside of the building in the terrace in the second floor. So here is in a different level than to second floor, and here you can see the terrace, the green space, and actually here you can see the stairs. So you can go down to the coffee shop. Like you can order the coffee shop. Here is a what do you call it? The barista with the counter. The counter here. Actually, here we need the toilet too, because as I told you, this is all independent building. So I put the toilet in this way, and it's acceptable for only this building. And then. And the third floor, actually, it's like on the exhibition floor. I create the whole openable exhibition floor for the cultural stuff here, so people can enter here from the elevator or the main stairs. So this here is like a 2 exhibition halls actually. Here's the one of them. Here's like kind of the corridor or the circulation. It's go like if you go up and go to this side, you go to the second exhibitions. Exhibitions is here, and then there is like 2 terraces. This is the end.
Okay, you survived. You did it. Congratulations.
5 minutes in person.
Only one more presentation and you're done. Good. Comments and suggestions? Well, I really appreciate you did so much with half the time or less than half the time everybody had. So that's kind of merit. Yeah. So yeah, good. And still have almost 3 weeks left. Almost. It's not even 3 weeks. Wow. Well, actually, to the final submission is exactly 3 weeks. Exactly 3.
You
Right.
say
21st
submission, but
final
after
submission.
the
Right.
presentation.
Presentation is 2.5 weeks, right? Good. So comments.
No, it's because only for the kind of for the coffee shop here, at these spaces for the you know, it's just a holding this circle because this one is going to the coffee shop and here and outside.
So maybe like a low walls or
Yes.
not totally, or sometimes can be high because toilets may be to the ceiling,
Yes.
right? Okay, yes, more comments, suggestions? Yes, Sanjay?
In second floor, courtyard part, there are empty spaces. No, under the court. Yes, right.
Yes, it's like an empty space because actually this you can see there they have like their jobs and it's actually the level down on this floor. So it ends here and you can see the top of the first floor.
Okay, more comments, suggestions, questions, critics, appraisals?
I'm not so sure if I missed this Can you explain why there's circles? What's the reasoning behind you choosing circles? I mean, they're your choice, but if you choose to make such a big gesture that is like totally different from the original building, while your extension's exterior is quite following the not so curving.
Yes, true.
You're having two languages at the same time. If you're gonna do this, I guess you have to make a nice explanation for why you're inspired by circles or something like the site or the
Yeah.
trees or something suggested them and you
Actually,
follow the
yes.
logic.
Actually, I wanted to add the circles because I
Yes.
didn't finish it yet, but I wanted to create the landscape more like a curvy copy. Because the main building, as you know, is like just a lot of the cubes.
Then maybe if you can, not so detailed, but just have a very rough drawing of the whole Maronia scale, fill the circles would convince everyone why you're doing this.
Right.
And another point is your ground floor contains your circular ideas, but it kind of dissipates through going to the upper floors. So only the ground floor has your circular ideas, which you got or which you're suggesting to do inside. And if you, I think it would be easier for you to have one strong language and have them duplicated in the whole walls rather than having some of them are like linear elements, some of them are curved, some of them are hexagonal, and that would complicate you. Just as my.
Yeah, yes, good points. Yes. More, yes, Steve.
In the ground floor, the left side, you said, is the more quiet one. I didn't really catch what activity exactly there are,
Here's,
but
it's a more for study space,
Oh,
like
so-
when, you know, not like the library study space or the closed, very, very quiet spaces. When the people don't have to go to the coffee shop and don't have to sit, they can go inside, but like here is it too much allowed because it's more public space. And for the stairs, they also can do their studies, but you know, the people comes by and it's not comfortable for everyone. So yeah.
yeah. Why I asked that question was, your stairs start on the left side.
Yeah.
And they end on the right side.
It's big colors, actually, because if I will start in the first, when I design the stairs, I start actually in this side and go to the up. But if all people go to the up and then go to the back, and as I told you, here is a more quiet space for like for the study, for quiet place. So people across fly this space and will disrupt the people who are studying actually, because here is like more than public space. So I changed the direction of the stairs. So
Then
people,
why
yeah.
are and why does it alternate between left and right? The good one. Like, so if I were to go up the stairs, I have to go climb like 5 or 6 steps and turn left and go another 5 or 6
Yeah.
steps. That's intentional, I guess.
It's actually more like for design, for the like the visual
So
design.
that still may change
Yes,
because you have the lower part is continuous, but the upper part is zigzagging. But it's interesting. That's kind of so people going up and down have to move around so that creates more friction and more encounter for good or for bad. So you have to be sure you have plenty of space for people to move around, whatever.
Again, my question was because your main entrance and access points are the main entrance, but then the rest of them are on the right side. Because the one on the left to me looks more like a side entrance. So you wouldn't really get that much traffic from there. But to me, it seems that getting all the way from the right side to the building to the left side, only to climb up again, feels a bit of a clumsy traffic, especially the middle corridor section. You're gonna have some stairs and stuff happening in between there, so this pace might free up. But I feel like, for example, most people are gonna access the building from the right side, and then they have to cross the building to be able to go up. If they don't want to take the garden route, which is a different way.
I mean,
but-
they enter from here, you have to go all the way.
Exactly, or if you want to go up, because there are some stairs in the garden as well, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to take a ride, go outside, go inside again, go up the stairs, make a U-turn, and then be able to go into the main volume on the first floor. So it feels a bit complicated, kind of, because your main access points are in one place, and then your main movement points to go vertically are in totally opposite direction.
Well, so the main point is the stairs, so I would just work on the entrances more than the stair, because there's no time for changing that. But probably, this is the stair for this part, right?
Yes.
So it's maybe an entrance, this could be more casual connection. Really working that part, right, like a secondary entrance, not so much the parking, right? To work more on that side, or in this area, that's important, so you have like a, and this is, again, some kind of a more quiet space or more in between. Okay, good. More comments or? So that's general. I know that for some reason you didn't make good drawings for working. You're using those ugly drawings. But when you show your design, you don't need to include all these kind of construction things, which the drawings for design are to show the exterior and the space, right? The construction you will show later, because this way we see only foot. What we want to see is really the transition from the street, right, to the inside. This is all distracting. This doesn't have any relevance. And many of the case studies we saw, the drawings really show only the space and the envelope, and more detailed drawings show just the construction, right? So the construction drawing and the design drawing are different in essence. If you mix them, apart from spending time you don't need to spend, makes this more confusing because you lose the point, right? If you hide this, we can see very smooth way going up. Now we see only like a strong feet over there. This is not the point. So be careful with it. Then, as I recommended to others, do not use the elevator as the main section, right? You have already made 20 sections, maybe elevator is the other, but your case section is the most important. Actually, you had it, I don't know why you don't have it now. You had it already.
Yes.
So this is the most important because you tell the story there, right? Other things we can fix. Then, of course, having total independent building is an option, right? You don't need to bridges, but I would try to make a bit more connection between both, right? Imagine this section, you have the existing building and your cafe. You may have some kind of wrapping in between of a greenhouse or something in between, which creates some kind of middle ground, right? At least it has some kind of connection. Otherwise, it's like too easy. We don't need to complicate, but I think that connection to it is stronger, right? And then circles are okay, but the comment of gesture is clear, right? Maybe not everywhere, but okay, they should be like a really consistent. And probably some of those elements could be so that geometry, right? Maybe at some point they might disappear, but you may have so some kind of small circular, maybe one or two, right? Yeah, right. So and also this, if this landscape here should have also some kind of connection. Then I would try to be a bit more separate from columns, right? You could even open toilet. I would put the entrance from the other side, right? You could have some kind of glance here to. This could be probably a bit bigger and have more landscape. Probably finish there.
Maybe it will be
right. But this to have somebody, and then when you create things, if you have the entrance, it works, right? But you have to see the spaces you create in between. You have to be also careful. Okay. But well, that's details just to refine a bit more the project. So you can have the different dimensions, right? And then in the section, you will show the different heights, right? Because some of them can be furniture, some of them must be walls, some of them can be half height, right? Some can be thicker. Imagine this is a place for sitting, right? Totally thicker, right? And then you may have like a
It's actually the blue.
right, but then it will be a bit thicker, but still you may have things for
Yeah,
sitting around. And you may have even some kind of pavement with a carpet, for example, and then, but this one near the entrance, right? You will want to push it a bit more, right? Okay, there's more things that still you can, with little change, this become much more studied and much more convincing. Okay, good. Did it. Congratulations. And I think this battery is off. Let me see one moment. This is still okay. Okay. Last but not least, Hyunmin.
그거 아니야. 그거 아니야. Muy feo.
Okay, you can see the presentation if you want.
So, quick reminder of my presentation of my project is based on Madang and the connectivity of the site and the building and the site. And one of the issues that I think I had for the longest time is that I thought of the Madang as just a public space, like a general space, and that made my building very vague in a sense. So I try to differentiate very private spaces and very public spaces this time. And the main space for my building is this big atrium that's connected to the 3rd floor. And it's connected, how it works is that you enter in through this back gate. You can go up the stairs to the 2nd floor or use a very long ramp to go to the 2nd floor. And from the 2nd floor, you're actually in the old building. So if you enter here, you go right over here. So the intention of this area is to allow a natural transition from new to old building or from old to new building. And the reason why I made this really long ramp is to make this atrium not just as a lobby, but a multi-space, multi-purpose lobby. So people can stand here in the ramp and look down. People probably can practice dancing or they can give a speech in here. So it's just not a regular, oh wow, what a nice building, but like an actual functional space. And you can go, since this is a very long ramp, this area goes beyond the height of the windows that are in the old building. So you can actually just go right here and use the public programs, which is the cafe here and the auditorium that is 2.5 floors tall. So as you can see, it is cut right here. And these are other public areas, seminar rooms and offices. Or you can, if you go to the private programs, these are single practice rooms that you go right here, and there's a little opening area where there are trees that you can just go in and relax over here, and a lobby just for these people. On the 2nd floor, you go to the main entrance. There's the gallery and painting and sculpture ceramics rooms, and the auditorium keeps there and as it is on the third floor. And this is the office, this is painting area, and then people can go outside here and paint looking on the outside view. And this is a dance practice room. And all the toilets are positioned right here. So they are kind of hidden, but not hidden at the same time. And this is vaguely where my extensions are. They're not as dynamic as they look because I just painted what's gonna be added, but clearly the functions overlap with the existing building. I try not to be so aggressive with the old building. So if you look closely, I really try to incorporate all the window areas as connection points with the with the new and old building. And after I do this elevation, which is not really clear, it's just where the new building is going to be. There's a lot of what's old that is hidden. And so since the beginning of this project, I initially wanted to use polycarbonate as a material, but that alone doesn't work, I feel like. So it has to be glass, and the polycarbonate would be on top of it, so it can help with insulation. So that's one option that I thought about material-wise, and the other option is to just make everything with white walls and big windows that are covered with a very porous, thin steel sheet material. So during the day, it looks just like a block, but at night, you can see the windows that are shining through. So that it's gonna be tricky because I have to design something that works with the old building, shows the design of the windows, and also shows the facade as layers, just as I intend with the programs that are in the building and outside the building. And these are some sections that are not really clear, but this is the auditorium, and this is the area of the cafe right here that is indoors, but it's also outdoors because I plan to have some trees that you can see. If you stand here from the gallery, you can see down there like the trees and the people in the cafe. And it simplifies as it goes up. And yeah.
So this is what you mean section of this.
Yeah.
I think Mingyon, you're the first to comment because I didn't hear this everything. And probably this has a vague relation with your project actually, that are in boxes, so you may want to say or comment something. You can tell in Korean if you want. It's Mies van der Rohe style. So it is remote. Students will expect the project, and this will stay justified. The student would say, before the quiet, and in the end it says. Nothing to say.
I need more time.
Need more time. Okay, so, but this is the end of the class. So. Okay, anybody else while Mingyon thinks?
So I want to hear more about the multi-phase.
This area?
Yeah, because I heard you only say like compare with existing and new buildings and just seeing, but when I hear like the word multi, like, and I think they have more activity or something. So did you plan more or?
Did they what?
Yeah, did you plan more about it than I'm
So I looked a lot into Stephen Hole's galleries and college buildings, and what inspired me from what he said was that he wanted to create spaces where people come in and just do what they want to do and not really label a space, but allow them to be able to be like, can I come here and do this, or can I come here and do that? So it's a very large space, and I feel like in a way just making it a circulation area is it's very pitiful. I would say it's a nice space because you can see the old facade, and then there's a new facade, and there's a really nice circulation area. The reason why I made this so long is so that you don't feel like you're walking up, but you're just walking, and at some point you're like, oh, I'm upstairs. So if something happens here, you can just naturally go and like here, for example, like, well, I gotta fix that now. That thank you for saying that, because now I think I need to fix that. But you can just go here and look down. You can stand in the ramps and look down. And I don't know, I feel like the idea of the Madan is so free, right? And if people want to practice dancing, for example, and there's barely any people in the building, they could come up here and dance, or somebody could give a speech right here. So that's what I thought. Because what I initially had was just like a sunken auditorium like stage, and that felt kind of forced. So now I feel like it's better to just let people do whatever they want to do, instead of just like deciding to make it some sort of space. You're welcome.
Okay, that's your comments. So the plans are better organized than before, so I appreciate the work. But when you speak of this plan, for example, like this kind of, okay, you have a big entrance, you decide a ramp or go around or go inside, right? Then probably you could come under the ramp at some point. But if the ending point is here, right? Which I don't know very well because there's other parts. So this is there, and here and goes up here, right? But then this is where the stair of the ramp ends, and you have another stair here. There's like a huge bottleneck. Actually, right. So this is where access here, but here for this stair near the elevator, but nothing nice of the getting between a stair, another stair. And so there's something I would think a bit more of. And then the toilets, remember, they have to be accessible. And you may see this here, but you can wash your hands there. So there's some dimensions that you will have to take care about. There's small things, but at some point you have to solve them. And the sections of the stage need a bit more elaboration on this one. A big comment, but at least we need to see the ground. This looks like a really schematic on me. So this was okay like 2 months ago, even 1.5 months, but now this is not the kind of sections we are expecting to see, right? Simply the site. Do you have time to think?
The project is, I want to ask why your extension has similar height, same height, and totally hide the existing building, because it's similar with me, but I was trying to make the differences in height to give variance, but your same height, so I just like. The reason why I didn't really care about height that much was because I was planning to use glass and polycarbonate, and even though that kind of still hides the facade, my idea was to layer it so it's like just peeking out. It's not like I'm here, but like you can see it. But yeah, that's the reason why I didn't really think much about heights. So I can peek through.
Yeah, this is a good question, and actually, I think the answer is not so convincing. Just letting you use transparent elements, not. So you have to care about everything, because you're creating also spaces which have a given height, right, for every element. And you're creating like a really massive thing in front. And you're not giving any hint at all. Just actually, this could be perfectly in this scale, right? If you don't have any idea of how you do with it, you don't need to show it. And then I would go further. The extension is massive, like I think one bay. Actually, it's like almost duplicating the central bay to the back, replicating this wing a little bit translated, right? And replicating one wing, which is not exactly what we expected from the beginning of the sketches. So right now, who sees a series of Madames, structure of Madames, sequence of Madames overimposed to the existing building, right? The range doesn't suggest it, actually, because you have the mixed solid things and non-solid. So it's hard to get the point, right? I can get the, I can explain it. So this is clearly a new atrium, right? This is an addition you make, but it's like really filling some in between space, very small one. You have a tiny space here behind the elevator, which is a bit weird. You have an addition here, an addition there, right? But you get two different scales, and then some elements which are really spaces which are a little bit hard to understand, nothing happening outside, right? So that clarity of the initial sketches, the ideas is a little bit lost. And that comes from failing also to explain clearly the idea, the concept of Madame, because Madame we understand as a stereo space, right? In queer architecture, we have a lot of activities which can happen in the exterior, but then everything here, you have two ambiguous interior exteriors which are interesting. But then one is one cafe with one tree inside, and the other is one movement of space, which is, again, it is okay, but it has a size which is even smaller than the lobby of the building, right? But the exterior looks massive. So I have difficulty to recognize this kind of position of open and closed spaces and more free. And that's the idea of freedom. One thing is that you can use the spaces you like or you move as you like. And the other thing is that you have no idea what the spaces are for, right? Where are you in the building? Which kind of space you are in? So still, it looks more organized, but I think in the terms of characterizing and the what's Madame, what is free, what's not free, what is stereo, half stereo, and so on, I think still a little bit undefined. And maybe just as you see as the adjusted dimensions and the sidewall and the use, right? On the top, I'm not sure about this division. This is the floor, which is the highest ceiling in the next space. You divide in half, which actually you're not showing here. But you divide it nearly in the center, right? A little bit in this area. So I'm not sure the spaces used here. Right? There's some structures you have to deal with eventually because this is a structural line there. But again, this longitudinal division, when you're creating like pockets of very much proportioned square rectangular spaces, I don't know why suddenly it's something so linear. Again, one floor, which is the most representative and most important building, which you make a radical transformation of the use. This is great, but there are things with this building which are right, which are nice, and you will want to improve or keep, right? Not to destroy just because of a kind of vaguely functional need. Depending on the needs here, what you do, this could be even just only for the chair, right? Or with height, and this is just have the space, maybe. Okay. You wanted to say something else?
Not this time.
Because it's so quiet today. Okay, so I think we saw everybody. Well, that's well, let's hope that Yunjun and Jin recover soon. especially Imogen, because she was a little bit struggling to have the project. Also, she's hardworking, as everybody in this class. So remember, we have 2.5 weeks to the final presentation, 3 weeks to the final submission. So what we can do is just adjust things. We don't change things, but try to add what you're missing. In general, I think landscape, just like random trees around, trees are important. Pavements are even more important. So exterior landscape designs are like leveling, right? Finding levels and designing pavements, hard, soft, and then the green. Right? It's not only the green. That's important. And pavements also are things which will help also defining the interior space, especially the movement areas, the real character. As we commented with the Saya, something you can even suggest a carpet, which is this place for just sitting on the floor and reading. Other places you suggest a stone or space. Sometimes you may suggest a timber or even ondo, like what do you call it? Kind of paper pavement would be right. Something I think it's sad we don't recover. It's almost disappeared. At some point it was kind of a plastic imitating that's nothing. Whereas Japanese still keep the tatami. And when you see the tatami, you find that this is a room for sitting on the floor, for just being quiet, not moving around. Whereas the maru, the wooden things are for moving, right? So it's kind of character you can add in your drawings. We have not only floors. But the point is, in general, the landscape is lagging behind. You don't need to organize a full square, but many of you are speaking of going to the back, having entrances surrounding the building, and we don't see it. And that can be very few lines, just so that not very few lines, but that's enough to have a totally different perception of the landscape. And if you look at the Chansaya copy of the existing landscape, after watching so many drawings, you realize how ugly is that landscape. It's ugly drawing and ugly landscape. You have to see it. Oh, there's nothing. At least well, it's okay if you like it. That's a different thing. You may like everything, so the liking, not liking, you have to be careful because that's emotional subjective. And we change our taste every day, right? Or even by the hour. So you have to be a bit more objective and see not only to like it, but have a reason for it to be better than other choices, right? Good. So I think in general, almost everybody has a viable project. The change in the last 3 weeks is enormous, right? So I appreciate it for this. There is from having a lot of things to having a kind of something, which is so something we can have a convincing project, but still you have to keep the effort, right, without losing your health. It's important. If you keep like days and days better sleeping, then you have to keep the intensity for 3 more weeks. So you have to be careful with it.
We're now 16.
Oh, 16. Okay, so please don't do that. I prefer, and I think it's better you have a one less drawing, and you have those 2 or 3 hours, than so one drawing less here. So if you miss this elevation, for example, nobody will notice, right? Sorry. You see your time to visualization. In this presentation, if you, for example, do not show this elevation, it could be as good or as bad than we did. So sometimes you want to make a lot, and it's not necessarily probably you could have the same presentation with 1 or 2 drawings less and sleep. No. It's not that it's good or bad. Probably it's not necessarily. You have to make the choice. Sometimes sleeping is more important than 1 or 2 drawings, right? Because-
60 hours, 40 hours were spent at perspective.
Okay, but that perspective alone says a lot, so that could be, but you have to be careful when you spend so much time with that perspective. When you spend so much time with that, just so, be quiet. If you spend so long with the perspective, you have to be very convinced this is almost final. Otherwise, why do you spend so much time? Okay. And I need you still operational in 3 more weeks. That's fine. So be careful with it, but really, I appreciate the effort, and I think everything we absolutely improved. Right? That's a good thing. So you don't have any exam this week? Any other presentation? Tomorrow election day. Sleep all day.
No.
I think it should be forbidden. It's holiday. It's official holiday.
Yeah, but professors still do.
I have classes.
Yeah.
We don't have, we don't have.
I hope not.
Do we have building instruction? No? Do we have?
이명도 외로 큰 클래스
Let's hear, what about?
The classes on official holidays, I think by regulation should be agreed with all the class, otherwise.
Agreed.
What do you want to say?
Well, you can always complain about it. So this is one of the things, you have the possibility to complain, so you can do it. Anyhow, on Friday, we have our class, we have no classroom, so we have to check with the MTA, we find a place.
Yeah.
And on Tuesday, please decide where.
Oh, we are designing. Right now, the
Hungry Museum? Okay, so Hungry Museum is, that's a nice building, so, okay, I will get with the MTA to see if we can get. So Tuesday, we can meet Hungry Museum at 2 o'clock, for example. We may be like 2-3 hours inside and then something outside.
You have this semester.
You can explain everybody. I also want to know. No, I want to know what is. Okay, the point is Tuesday, Thursday we go to Hungary. So we will try to have free access for the class. Right. If they change the manager, will be difficult. Well, okay. Santiago, again here. Call us and we give you free entrance. Okay. You may do some research if you want to have familiar about the building. Probably 1995, 96. It's like a final buildings of postmodernism, but more neutral. It has some kind of a Korean quality, but it's modern building. It's a little bit old-fashioned, but still good architecture. It's not totally perfect, but has many things which you're starting with. This kind of atriums, this kind of the process of the stairs, the toilet. You will see how a big building has tiny toilets and it still works. But still, 1996 or 95 was not so strict as now. It's very difficult place because of the topography. So also the use of the levels is quite intelligent. Good. So sleep. Sleep and keep well. Okay. So see you Friday. Thank you. Thank you. Let's get together. I want to take a photo of the full class. Photo. All in the back. Everybody, where's the group photo? Hey, you get out of the photo. Or you can see if you. Good. Not bad.
Oh, sorry. No.
Okay, perfect. Okay. This will be my. Yes. 야, 내가 대가리 까먹고 있었는데. 사인이냐고 붙인 거? 내가 바로 죽으면 교수님한테 사진 받아서 올려.
형아 먹고 교수님 사진. 아 맞네. 오. 오.
버려?
이렇게 할 거지. 포대덕이라고 앞에. 그럼 내일 못해.
Physically impossible.
Yeah, I think.
요새 정말 메시지
혹시 들어요?
수업 있나? 수업 있어?
있는지 없는지.
No.
Asistente Barcelona. Hyun, you want to go to Barcelona again?
Yeah.
August. When is the workshop? So there's also maybe in July.
July
Are
18.
you joining the workshop with Barcelona?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I haven't thought about it.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, just for the
할 거야?
생각해보니 아무것도 안 해도 될 것 같은데.
아 방에 쉬는 것도 나쁘지.
나쁘진 않아. 나쁘진 않아.
Professor.
Yes.
Do I put it down?
I already. If not, you will upload tomorrow. So.
You shall download.
So the plans are better. We're going to organize the executable for you. Later, most of this kind of elements, the statements or whatever. The sessions,
You know what I mean, right?
before you go to sleep. So it will be smashed.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Only for them.
For you too, of course.
Yeah.